ブラザー、早くしなさい。オーケー。
All right, let's get straight to the biscuits. At 0800 hours this morning, an American soldier was eaten by a Nazi dinosaur.
That's a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No, Claire, that's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Try thinking first before you open your mouth.
Hello, and welcome. Today we're going to look at some sketch covers that I got. Let's do that. Woo! All right. Hey, Sumo. This is a fever dream. This is a fever dream. But yeah, I decided to do a little bit of a smash. All smash, no pass. Picked up a bunch of sketch covers, and I'm going to show them off, and then I'm going to talk about what I may or may not do on them. And that's it. You know? Hey, Alex V. What's going on? VRB. My ninja. But yeah, we'll pull these out here. So, Power Rangers, number 7. Could do anything on them. You know what I'm saying? Have a good night, Alex. I appreciate you popping in and saying hi. Take it easy, my ninja. And we'll see you later. But for everybody else, got some Power Rangers from Boom Studios. Probably going to do, you know, maybe Pink Ranger, maybe Yellow Ranger. You know, who knows? Maybe a group shot. I don't know how ambitious I'm going to get. You know, maybe we'll just do Sexy Pink Ranger. Who can say? Yeah, and then I grabbed... how many of these did I get? 2 Liquid Kills. So I got 2 of the Power Rangers number 7. 2 of the Liquid Kill. I'm going to try to figure out what I should do with these. Like, this, like if you look at on their site, the Liquid Kill logo is small and up top here, but for whatever reason, when they do the blank, they decide to throw this big, like, person on it. I don't know, I might end up doing it like this way, and maybe incorporating that into, like, some kind of jewelry or some kind of gun or something like that with the gold pings and whatever. That's right. They will be showering. So I don't know. I looked at the book and it was pretty cool. I liked the art and stuff like that. So, yeah, that should be fun to do, you know, do some kind of cyberpunk chicks. And then I got 2 Noctera, the Val special. You know what I'm saying? Also, now we're going to notice a theme here. Sexy lady books. I'm going to draw sexy ladies on all these covers. That's the goal. You know what I'm saying? So we got 2 of the Nocturna Val specials. Then we got 2 Disney villains Maleficent. You know, we'll draw a very nice Angelina Jolie, J. Scott Campbell-esque Maleficent, you know, looking sassy and evil and sexy, you know. So we got those. And then I've seen this book around, and I like the art on it, and it's Carmen. You know, and I may be a little cheeky, and I may make one sexy one, and then one like Carmen Rider, as in Kamen Rider. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Who knows what I'm going to do? But she's kind of a neat looking character. So yeah, I'm going to do something with those. I like the idea of, you know, doing a Carmen sketch cover. What else we got? Oh, here we go. So I got two super blank. They are the blankest of the blank. These are the Fire and Ice issues. You know, so we're going to get some Frazetta kind of action there. So I got two of those, and I really appreciate that there is no actual logo or anything like that to hinder my experience. Let's see what else we got here. I got 3 Bettie Page. You know, I figure I can draw 3 very sexy versions of Bettie Page. You know, and I think people dig that. So we got 3 Bettie Page. And then 2 Gargoyles Dark Ages. I'm sure I can do Demona, maybe Elisa Maza, you know, that kind of stuff. Sexy ladies. We're getting to a theme here. And then 2 more regular Gargoyles. Those Dark Ages were Dark Ages issue 1 from Dynamite. These are issue 7. You know, so who knows? Who knows what we'll do here? Then we're kind of going to get into the single issues. Now, I got a Savage Tales. It's a one-shot. So, you know, sexy ladies, sexy Conan ladies. I also have a Hires vodka root beer that I'm going to drink while I sit here and chat. You know? Congrats. It's kind of weird, but I'll take it. I won't drip that on the comic. Get out of here. You think I'm some kind of savage? No. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Speaking of the Savage Tales, they haven't shown up yet, but I did order a Red Sonja, the Conan one. What was the other one? Oh, a Spider-Gwen, because I figured I'd do something poppy. And then also a King Kong. So, got that as well. I'm just, you know, and then this was the most expensive book to buy. This Space Pirate Captain Harlock, which is very bizarre. I was kind of like, out of all of these, like, I was just like, why is this $10? And so, anyway, I grabbed it, and I'm going to do something cool on it. You know, pretty excited about that. And I'm a big fan. Hey, Crazy Matt, how you doing? Hola, mi amigos. Hey, casa e su casa, por favor. And then I also got a Bellet and Valeria, because I heard Sumo mention that he got one. And so I decided to look it up, and I grabbed one. You know, I can do 2 sexy ladies on a cover. Why the hell not? So I grabbed that. And then, and a lot of these last ones here are just ones, because I can only find one. That was the thing. Like, some of them I picked up, if they had 3, I grabbed 3. And so, yeah, so I got all these from one shop, which was kind of cool. John Carter of Mars. You know what I'm saying? Huh? So yeah, you know, we can draw the man from Virginia and the woman from Mars. Good times. Hello, Bobby! And then so, I was only able to get one of these. I wish I could have got 10. Kamen Rider 01, yellow cover. Yeah, I would have grabbed a bunch of these because I would have liked to have done a bunch of different Kamen Riders from each of the eras. If I could have gotten 10 of these, I would have. The shop that I got this stack from only had one. I'm not trying to keep up with the sumos, but like, I think when you hear people talking about things who are actually spending money on books, should probably go see what it is, just to kind of see what people are feeling and what people are actually picking up as far as comics go these days, because it's pretty bereft out there. And then I grabbed 2 of these. See, I'm going for these color books. Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. It also kind of weirdly coincided with me getting those Power Rangers Cross Turtles figures that I did those unboxings for. So that worked out. You know, I'm not mad at them, but they're pretty cool. And you know, same kind of thing. You know, they got you could do anything with the green. I also, because this is how I roll, and I roll deep, I went and bought 2 packs of Posca pens because I was like, oh well, and this is why I bought them. A, because we had the color covers, and so I was like, man, I gotta get something. They just can't be black with white highlights, like all the ink work and stuff like that. So I was like, they can't just be black with highlights. So I was like, I'm gonna go drop the coin. I'm gonna go get some small, fine Poscas and go all in. This is how I roll. And so yeah, so I'm going all in. I got the Poscas, and we are going to do some pretty little covers here. And then for the last handful for right now, I got the Robotech, and I actually don't mind that these are red, because I was thinking about what I was going to do on them, and I immediately thought Lin Minmay, where she has the red China dress, and you know, and she's got her hair up in the big buns with the braids hanging down, and she comes out, you know, with her hands carrying all the like steamed buns and stuff like that. If you watch old Robotech, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But also, if you look back, a lot of her clothes were red. So I was like, oh, with the Poscas, you know, I could do her hair and skin and stuff like that. But the red dress would be just the color of these pages. You know what I mean? So chances are, I was thinking like I could do the her in the China dress when she works for her family. I could do one in her regular dress, and then I could do one where basically she's like wearing Rick's helmet or something like that. You know what I mean? So we got those 3. So that's my giant stack of like 30 books. You know, that I'm going to do sketch covers for, and plus I got a handful more, like 4 or 5 more coming from a separate shipment. So yeah, gonna do a bunch of sketch covers, and just pretty excited to mess with them. You know what I mean? And get out there and just do something different, get some different eyes on things. Maybe if I do a little bit more pop culture-y kind of things, like like I ordered a Spider-Gwen, and I got those Betty Page and stuff like that, just to get different eyes on my work. Yeah, I'm going to totally draw them on stream, Sumo. 100%. And so, yeah, that's why I got them. Like, A, to sell. B, to post on social medias. C, to do streams of, you know, and just kind of, that's the kind of thing, like, just kind of out there, you know, get a few more eyes on what I'm doing, and, you know, see how it goes. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? See to see them. Like, see the shining sheet? See? Hello, Danger Vanessa. How you doing? But yeah, so there are a bunch of them who are really cool. I don't know. That's kind of the thing. Like, I was like, basically like, seeing Shelby do all these sketch covers, and I'm just like, I can do that. I can sketch on a cover. I can, draw some sexy ladies. I can do that. What we got here? There we go. But yeah, so like I said, most of it for me will just be like, I'll probably do sketches beforehand, just kind of do warm up before I actually, because you kind of got one go at these puppies, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, like, so I kind of want to kind of get into the feel of it before I start marking up all these bad boys. And so, yeah, that's it. But yeah, like, some cool stuff. Like, I'm pretty excited about this Captain Harlock one. The John Carter Mars, like, a lot of these things are favorites of mine. So I'm actually pretty excited to do stuff for it. And like I said, I do have a Red Sonja coming. I've got the King Kong, the Conan, and what was it? Red Sonja, King Conan. Hold on, I'll look. Just because it's annoying to me that I don't remember off the top of my head. Oh yeah, Red Sonja, King Conan, King Kong, and Spider-Gwen. That's the 4 I have coming. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Savage Tales. And so a lot of these give me, the opportunity to draw sexy ladies, and that's what I like doing. And that's what I'm really good at. I mean, I could draw dudes. I could draw Goliath on one of these covers holding Elisa Maza. Whatever. I can draw Harlock on this cover with that sexy girl that I can't remember her name of right now in the burgundy jumpsuit. All that stuff. We could draw April O'Neil busting out of her, yellow jumpsuit. All that stuff. What else we got here? Oh, yeah. Just for the people who are kind of showing up right now. Some Betty Page covers, These are the Fire and Ice ones, so, I get to draw a dude with a sword and a sexy lady, maybe throwing a sexy lady over his shoulder, Carmen, she's also a sexy lady, Yeah, I can't remember her name right now, it's bugging me, but, I'll remember after I shut this off. You get the, listen, sometimes you gotta draw the sexy lady, and then sometimes you gotta reach out and say Maleficent. You know what I'm saying? You gotta reach out, touch someone named Angelina Jolie. But we'll draw a very sexy Betty Page, a very, hot girl with short bangs. You know what I'm saying? And I'll probably put that little weird ugly guy on it too. Noctera Val Special, another sexy lady in a leather suit. The Liquid Kill stuff, more sexy ladies. Power Rangers. When you think of Power Rangers, you think sexy ladies. And that's what I'm here to do. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Listen. Settle down. I see you putting on the rubber gloves, Vanessa. There will be no rectal probing here. I'll tell you that for free. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna do turtles. And I might even do like, I'll probably do one with turtles or one with Turtles and Power Rangers, or like Yellow Ranger standing beside April O'Neil or something. I don't know. That was the thing. Some of them I immediately was like, yes, I have ideas for. Instantly. Like, I was just like, okay, I got this. And like, some of them I wish I had 10 more of this. I wish I had 10 more of this one. John Carter or Mars, like, that'll be fun. Velvet and Valeria will be fun. Captain Harlock will be fun. Savage Tales. Yeah, this whole bunch of them. Gargoyles, we'll throw down with a very, very hot Demona, very hot Elisa Maza, it's all coming. It's all coming together. It's good. Exactly. Think about Amy Jo Johnson straddling that bar. You know what I'm saying? Because I do. But yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. And a couple of these are already spoken for. You know, things happen. People hear things and say, hey, I want one of those. And I go, okay. You know, that's how it works. That's how it works when you're in the pocket of big sketch cover, I guess, you know. So yeah, I don't know. This probably won't be the longest stream. I'll probably only go for about an hour or so. You know, work in the morning and whatnot. But you know, this vodka hires is my friend. I don't even know why I have this. It was in the fridge, and I think the lady friend said, "Hey, I don't like this," you know, because I'm usually like drinking like this whiskey up here or this absinthe back there. You know, I'm a man of culture and class. You know. You know, sometimes you don't always come out with the gold, but when you do, when you're on these streets, you know, sometimes you got to represent, and that's what I do here. But yeah, you know how it is. Yeah, some weird stuff going on this week, or weekend, I should say. That house that blew up was wild. I watched that video and I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. You know, Topless Betty, I just looked over at the chat and the first thing I seen was do Topless Betty Page dressed as Prophet. And I immediately saw that. I immediately saw that in my head. You know what I mean? Like, I immediately, like, said, So, I know what's up. I know what's up. But yeah, that's the thing, like, you know, anybody think that the hardline was better than usual tonight? I'm not going to say it's because Phil wasn't there, but it might be because Phil wasn't there. You know, Brandon did keep the tradition alive of 60-year-old women battling it out for sexy supremacy, but outside of that, I don't know. Man, you're right, Bobby. You are, what some might say, a quiet genius, you know. So, you know how it is. Listen, Sumo, if I'm going to be paying attention to what you do 24/7, speaking of, here's the thing. Well, what's going on with all those fires? Why is everybody out there on these streets? Like, here's the thing, Bobby. I appreciate the subtlety of Brandon's humor. Right? Like, he's one of those guys who just kind of will say something slightly, like, you know, right on the cusp, and you're just like, oh, I see. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I appreciate it, you know. That's how it is. Listen, sometimes, Bobby, you know, when you're not being quiet, it's when you are quiet that you're saying what's important. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the thing. I'm a big fan of doing sketch stuff. Picked up. I just want to do more traditional stuff. Everybody's bitching and moaning about digital and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just kind of tired of hearing about it. I'm kind of tired of hearing about how digital's some kind of magic cheat that discredits every amount of understanding of art and design and anatomy, and it just somehow, if you own a copy of Photoshop, you're suddenly the best artist on the planet. You're a cheater, and you have no understanding of light, anatomy, posing, body shape, weight distribution, none of that stuff. Like, it's just thrown out the window. You're trash and dumb to smoke, right? Just because you own Clip Studio or Photoshop. You know, and like, I laugh because, like, Ethan tonight on Kings, I watched it briefly there for a bit, and he was saying that, you know, digital is cheating. And it wasn't that long ago when he drew Cyberfrog and Heather reversed on panels, and the chat pointed out, and he's like, oh, I'll have Kyle fix that when he colors it. He'll have him flip the panel. Digital! He didn't want to redraw the whole page. But he sure did like digital when it saved him having to redraw a whole page. I'll tell you that for free. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the thing, you know? It's not. It really isn't, because like there's a lot of really bad digital artists out there, and it's proven. Like, you can see a ton of dudes who are using 3D models and it's not making them good artists. It's not making their figures look better. In fact, typically you can tell that people are using 3D models because everything they do looks very stiff, right? Like, and that's the thing too. Like, and here's the thing. Like, I agree and disagree to an extent. Like, I agree that you can kind of get lost nitpicking digitally. You can get in there and you're just kind of like, okay, I'm going to zoom in 300% and I'm going to go in and fix the pixels and zoom out and go, yes, that looks better. But I find when you're working traditional, you just have to go with it. Like, do you know what I mean? You put the lines down, you put the inks down, and if you pull that pen across the paper and it decides to just kind of slightly deviate and give you a little bit of a groove, you're stuck with it. Unless you go in there with the whiteout and, you know, so in some ways you're beholden to the tools. And so you have to work with the tools as best you can. You can only master them to an extent that they allow you to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so if you're pulling that line and there's just a tiniest little bit of knot in the paper and it just kind of bounces a tiny bit on your perfect straight line that you're pulling, even with a ruler, you're going to still find that the pen is going to dig to the paper, or it's going to lightly bounce off a tougher, you know, piece of the construction of the paper. So that, like, you know what I mean? So to some extent, no matter what, you're beholden. It's kind of like this piece that I have, a Shelby's, you know, and I have this on hand, mostly because it's interesting to me, because it's like, when I was doing my traditional pages, I was being super careful about every little line and every little detail. And like this thing, like it's hard to see, like, you know, but it's like, it's layered, it's thick, like, you know. And so that kind of thing where, you know, you're basically, hey K-pop, how you doing? That thing where you're basically building up, like he was like layering on top of the paper. And so and for him, and for I think anybody doing work traditionally, it should be about the final scan to go to print. So it doesn't matter if it's got all this splatter on, if it's got all this texture on the real thing. It's the scan that matters. It's the thing that goes to print that's going to matter. You know, so that's kind of the thing for me, where I think I mentioned it one of the last times I was here and I showed it off, that I was basically just like, oh, okay, because, like, you know, the pieces I did and posted online, I was like being like trying to pull the perfect line, and if I had to put the whiteout out, I felt like a cheat. Do you know what I'm saying? That I had to pull out this whiteout to fix this little dimple that I wanted to fix, you know, in the line or whatever. And so it was freeing, really, for me, just to kind of pull that out and be like, hey, it's the finished piece that matters, regardless of how, you know, bumpy the texture is to get there. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool. Just because sometimes, I don't know, like, because you hold yourself to certain standards, you know, because, like, you know, that's kind of the thing with digital too. It can be just as much of a burden, because you're like, well, I can get a perfect line. It's digital. I can dot to dot and it pulls it, and that's it, you know. But I even find I don't do that. I usually end up going in and just doing clean strokes. And if I, you know, want to fix something or add to it, I do that. I usually don't actually use the point tools to draw the perfect line or pull out, you know, stuff like that. I'm usually drawing it. Like, here's the funny thing about that. Like, I draw digitally basically the same way I draw traditionally. You know, I'll go in and I'll do like a loose sketch and I'll do that kind of stuff. And that's why I find it so funny. Like, if you were doing a rough sketch, like look at like how Dale Keown works, for example. Dale draws on and does all the roughs on one side, flips it, light boxes it, and inks on the other side. And that's a trick, because like a lot of old artists, instead of flipping the page in like Clip Studio or Photoshop, they would have a mirror beside their desk, and they would hold the mirror beside their desk, and they would just look in the mirror to make sure that the faces weren't wonky and that everything was properly drawn. You know, like both eyes looked right, all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, what Dale's doing is essentially that. He's sketching it rough one way, and then flipping it over and putting on a light box, and then re-going over it. And it's the exact same method, just done differently, you know? And so that's exactly what you would do in Photoshop or in Clip Studio or whatever. You draw it and you go, oh, I want to make sure it looks right. And you flip, and then you flip back, and then you flip, and you flip back. And that's what he's doing. And I was just like, that's the exact same technique. It's just you're doing it on a piece of paper with a light box. And so, and that's also the same thing too. Like, if you go, like, you guys were briefly talking about it there. Hello, Bancroft. he does ask to not see it in the mirror. But like, that's the thing, like you do see a lot of people doing that. And so like, that's why I find like, say, you know, you like Shelby, a lot of other people, Bancroft, whatever, you know, when they're printing their thing out blue line from the digital, and then they're just inking over it. Like, you know, and that's the thing, like it's the exact same thing as doing a rough, putting in a light box, putting the piece of paper over it, and going over for the inks. It's exactly the same way that you would do it, like with a projector, if you were going to do it on a big wall, or if you were going to do like any kind of like transference of that image from the rough to get the clean finish. There was that book I think I talked about it before, the Working Methods one that Kelsey Shannon did. In that book, they basically gave like Mark Schultz and Kelsey Shannon and a couple other artists the same script. And so this was like, I think it was like 2006 or 2009, something like that I picked up this book. And it actually kind of blew my mind, because when Kelsey and Mark Schultz and all the guys in it, matter of factly, were all using photo reference. Even though their styles were all completely different. Like at the time, Kelsey was full digital, and his pieces in it were just like vibrant, bright colors, no thick black lines or anything like that. It was really good. And so yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then like Mark Schultz and Kelsey, and I can't remember the other two guys right now, because I'm bigger fans of Mark Schultz and Kelsey Shannon than the other two guys. But they all talked about the reference, and Mark Schultz found this basically like a photo of an old town square. And he was like, oh, I have this beautiful piece of reference. And he just traced it. He just straight up traced the town hall, or the town square, I should say. And then he drew the characters over top of it. And Mark Schultz is like, you know, top level, incredible draftsman, inker, everything like that. And so I was like, this guy could have drawn. He could have easily drawn this. It would have been nothing for him to do, but he liked the reference so much because of the time period it represented. And he was just like, this, it's easier to use. Like Todd McFarlane uses reference. Like, you know, there are tons of Spider-Man shots where he's just using a photo, or he's just using what's that called? Like a static, like a static, like stat shot or whatever it is. And he's just slapping that in and adjusting the blacks, and he's just using a photo, you know? Yeah. But yeah, like, but that's the thing. Like, I find all that stuff interesting, because like, you can in one hand say to people, tracing is bad, and it inherently is, but at the same time, like, I can draw a car. I can lay out a grid and I can draw a car. Do I need to prove I can draw a car? Like that, like really, do I need to prove that to people? Or can I just grab a car and throw it there and draw the girl standing in front? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's like is my time worth spending the 10 hours of laying out the grid and doing the whole thing and doing the splash of this big car jumping through the thing? Or do I just grab a car picture and use that car and then do all the cool stuff around it myself? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting conversation because, you know, some people find value in the torment of the artist. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And so, like, other people are like, well, if you're not doing it all yourself, then it's not yours. Like, do you know what I mean? And yeah, like, and that's the thing. I don't, like, animation got to that point too, where all their cars were 3D models. Because it saved time. Like, why would you painstakingly draw every single car, every frame of it, like, you know, like every frame of the car turning and twisting and whatever, when you can have a 3D model and just run it through the scene? Even if the scene is all painted, like, you know, matte paintings and 2D backdrops and all that stuff, you can still have a cel-shaded car run through the scene perfectly. And if it's done right, it doesn't look fake. It doesn't look 3D. And I think in the early 2000s, that was the real struggle, was to actually get the 3D to look like it had point of place, that it didn't instantly stand out like you're like, oh, Jesus, that's a 3D model. And so you're seeing a lot of things like Arcane, where they are going between using 3D models and using 2D matte paintings and using traditional animation and blending it seamlessly. And you're seeing that shift happen, like because of the rise of Blender, Unreal, the new Unreal Engine, Ghost in the Shell on Netflix was done with the Unreal Engine. That whole animated series was done in a video game graphics engine. You know, so you're actually seeing that, and that technology is really affordable. You can actually, hey Rumble, how you doing? You can actually use Unreal up to a certain point. I believe it's up to making $100,000. You can use it for free, completely free, until you make a certain amount of money with a project, and then you have to start paying a licensing fee, which is really interesting for a lot of people who are doing smaller things. If you're doing shorts, like say Narwhal or whatever, who's going to do like a short animated piece or something like that, if he's doing those trailers or doing any of these build-ups towards either him eventually making a movie or a game, for him, that's a great resource, even if he just has somebody making the assets in Unreal. But he's using Blender and stuff like that right now, which is also very versatile. So yeah, it's really interesting to see all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really wild and interesting time because, like, one, we have YouTube. There is literally no excuse for anybody not to know anything, right? Like, I can just type in, you know, sprite animation. Like, Bancroft has been showing off sprite animation on his ArtShare days, and that stuff is like, it's timeless. There's just a simple beauty with like that kind of pixel art, you know, and you have to work within those limitations, and there's just a beauty about it. There's just a subtlety and a nuance to that type of art, and a charm that, you know, really, like, I don't know, it's still like, I don't know, it's like almost childlike wonder when you look at it still. Like, it's timeless in a really interesting way. And so, yeah, that's kind of, for me, that's like the most interesting part about pixel art, because like pixel art today, and, you know, firing up Super Mario World or anything like that, you know, they're still on the same level. There's still that same level of charm and excitement, you know? And so for me, that's like the really exciting part about art in general. Like, I'm not like artsy fartsy, and I kind of hate when people get all up in their emotional spectrum and their fifis about art, you know, and I will have the conversation about, you know, color theory and design and how things are supposed to make you feel, you know, when you go through a book and you use color to bridge those gaps and you know, the scene transition and, you know, going from darks to lights as you make your way through a book. That stuff's important, and I think it's interesting to talk about. But, when people throw tennis balls covered in paint at a canvas and say this is how it made them feel that day, and, they start talking about their menstrual cycle by throwing red tennis balls at a canvas, then you've lost me. You're just talking garbage, So that, that's my two sides of the art coin. I feel like there is a lot of truth to the emotional power of it and what it can elicit in people, but I also hate the artsy fartsy fake, my parents paid for me to go to college because I'm all up in my feelings, and not having an actual understanding of the methods of art, the reasons why things are the way they are, why they're important, understanding, thirds, things like that, and so that's the kind of stuff that's super interesting to me, only because, I feel strongly about those topics, but at the same time, I hate the pretense. I hate pretentiousness in art. I hate people who wear scarves indoors, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's just me, But yeah, listen, I'll rip on Jackson Pollock all day, all night, 24/7. You know how it is. But yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting to me to see what people like. See, here's the weird thing, Bancroft. In Canada and in the States, Ugg boots are for women. I've never seen a man wearing Ugg boots. I understand that your people have embraced the Ugg boot, right? I understand that. I understand that you do that, right? But it's weird. And it's just a cultural thing. It's just hey, they came from there and everybody wears them. It's kind of like North Face or, whatever, but yeah, that's to me is well, there you go, Admiral. See, Whack-Ass knows. He's seen a gay dude in Uggs, right? Case closed, right? The gavel's coming down. It's over. No, but that's the thing. I've never, that's the thing. I know all kinds of girls here who wear Uggs, but I've never seen a man wearing Uggs here. I'm not saying that, they're gay. I'm, as a heterosexual man myself, I wouldn't wear them. I would choose to wear, sneakers, boots, Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Bancroft. A lot of things are unisex, and men never wear them, right? You know what I mean? I don't wear V-necks. I don't wear, I don't know, thongs. Not the thongs as in flip-flops or sandals, but thongs as in the thong song thong. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting, just the entire process. But yeah, I don't know. Listen, K-pop, settle down. We're not here to satisfy your lady urges. All right, we're here. I'm not a piece of meat. I'll have you know. But yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't look at you any differently. Bancroft. I understand you wear the Uggs, but I respect you. Some might say more than others. Noah, settle down, young lad. Listen, we're out here being top G's. Keeping women in the kitchen, Noah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Here's the thing. I don't see dudes wearing Crocs here either. That's the thing. Like, I see a lot of like little kids and like old ladies wear Crocs around here. It's not really like, yeah. Like, and then there's like some of the like, I don't know. Now an UGG Croc over might be interesting because you would have a weird furry rubber sandal? I don't know. That seems bizarre to me, right? Because, like, you know, I know all kinds of women with Uggs, right? Like, it's just, it's very bizarre. It's like, you know, and then there are like Birkenstocks. I know guys who wear Birkenstocks. I know girls who wear Birkenstocks. But Uggs, doesn't happen. Not on this side of the pond. You know what I'm saying? That's how real it is. Listen, we're straight balling here, Noah. You know. No, this is my gag. This is my gag chain, and I thought it would be funny to throw it on. But yeah, like that's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someday, you know, the UGG Croc crossover, you know, will unite us. You know, maybe that's the true calling of man. I don't know. Yeah, it is very bizarre. What can I tell you? I don't know. Yeah, I watched Andrew Tate. I've never seen anything of Andrew Tate's other than what other people report on Andrew Tate. You know, I know about him because everybody else knows about him through all his dealings. You know, it's like, what's your Bugatti look like? I know that because of him. Guy's a top G boxer or kickboxer guy, chess player. His dad was a crazy chess player and CIA guy. I know all that because of weird news reporting. You know, here's the thing though. Like, how we're gonna get very surface level Andrew Tate here, right? No, I won't watch anything weird on my stream now. Here's my weird surface level thing. How is, like, and this might blow some people's minds, or you might just kind of go, how is what Andrew Tate does, just ostensibly, like just on paper, how is it any different than what Hugh Hefner did with Playboy, right? Like, just assuming everybody's playing on the same field, right? Like, Hugh Hefner had Playboy bunnies, and they, you know, did parties and did centerfolds, and, you know, there were Playboy bunny things happening, right? And then how is that really any, like, how is that really any different than Andrew Tate being like, hey, you're attractive, would you like to do some camming and you'll get paid for it? You know, would you like to start an OnlyFans? Right? And so if you have like 10 models, you know, doing that, yeah, like, you know, but everybody did cocaine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying ostensibly, like, if you're just like on the surface, Hugh Hefner, Andrew Tate, what is really that different? Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, but you could probably say the same for Hugh Hefner. Right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he definitely exploited those women's looks for money. Right? Just saying. I'm just saying, surface level, like, we're not diving past, you know, any of the allegations, because similar allegations have been levied at Hugh Hefner. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but what's the difference between wearing like a velour smoking jacket and Andrew Tate in a Bugatti? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different package, but it's very similar. You know? That's all I'm saying. Yes, but I mean, it's still pimp energy both ways. Do you know what I'm saying? Hugh Hefner was always surrounded by ladies. You know, it was always that kind of like, hey, I'm an old dude who has all these women around. And they weren't around with him because he was a hot, you know, Conan the Barbarian. Do you know what I mean? He was always a weird, old-looking dude. Even when he was young. He never, like, Hugh Hefner he wasn't a Chad. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't out there with Arnold Schwarzenegger guns and doing all that. Do you know what I'm saying? But you feel what I'm putting down here. That's the reality of this. Like, on the surface level, they're doing a very similar thing. They're just Andrew Tate is the modern day version of that. The internet, OnlyFans. You know, he can't put out a magazine because no one buys magazines. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't call it the connoisseur because Playboy was couched in class. Do you know what I'm saying? And that you were like looking at these beautiful women and appreciating them on that level, right? And so that's the difference. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying my channel's not going to get nuked. There's literally, we are surface level. That's why it's called the surface. We're not diving in. Yeah, exactly. Like, no, you no longer have to stumble upon pornography in a forest, right? When you were kids, like, and that's a story that every kid has. We would all, like, you know, you're just like, hey, you're running around playing guns in the forest or, like, you know, whatever. And then you just, for whatever reason, stumbled across porn in the woods. Like, and why was it in the woods? Who was in the woods wanking it to porn? Like, do you know what I mean? Why were there stacks of magazines just in the woods? Like, what guys just, like, you know, just fucking firing one out in the woods on the reg that he had a magazine collection hidden in Winnie the Pooh's fucking honey tree. What the hell's that all about? I don't get it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's the kind of thing that's hilarious to me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like my nephew will never wander into, like, because his mom won't let him leave the yard. He'll never wander in the woods like we could, you know, and find that stuff. He's just, so one of his friends one day is just going to show him on the phone. Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Right? Like, Bancroft knows. Sometimes there was a mattress. Sometimes there was a hump mattress in the woods for no reason. None. No. You know. And so, that's the thing. Yeah. Exactly. You dared people to touch the mattress. I know it. I'm looking at you, Bank. I know what you did. You dared people to touch that mattress, or you got dared to touch the mattress. You were either the darer or the daree. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, pity the guy who touched that mattress. Anything that happened to him after, he was like AIDS after he touched that mattress. You know, your poor friend. You know. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, yeah, it's just like things that, like, because that's the thing, when I was a kid, after school, I would just jump on my bike and go to the mall. Like, when I was like 11 or 12. Like, you know what I mean? Your parents were like, yeah, it's safe. Well, what's anybody going to do to you? You're just going on your bike to the mall, you know? And then you'd go and spend, like, money in the arcade and wander around the little toy stores and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, yeah. But now it's like, everybody's like, oh my God, like, you let your kid walk across the street by himself? He's going to die. Oh my God. You know? And so, yeah, it's a very bizarre time. Like, because I have, my sister has a kid, and two of them, actually. And so it's very bizarre to see her raising these kids and their life be so sheltered. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, yeah, like, it's very bizarre to me, just in general, being a kid now. Like, just talking to kids, like, you know, and just being like, hey, what are you into? And they're just like, blah. Like, you know, I play Minecraft and Fortnite, and, you know, they just have weird shit like that. When you were a kid, you were like, I was doing fun stuff. You know, I don't know. Kids are just weird now. Like, I don't know. It's like, I look at them, and in a lot of ways I feel sorry for them, because their time is so different and, like, almost so corrupted just in comparison. Like, it's just not naturally exciting. And then I also feel really bad for people who are right now kind of like in their 30s, 20s and 30s. You know what I mean? Like, and so like, because here's the thing. Like, we're gonna jump from weird forest porn to people in their 30s right now because they wouldn't have experienced any of that, right? And so I think part of the problem with where we are right now actually has a lot more to do with them not having anything. Right? Like, when we grew up, we had like Transformers and G.I. Joe and Spider-Man and like X-Men and Gem and the Holograms and like Gummy Bears, and like you could just spend all day listing weird cartoons like Smurfs and Snorks and all this other stuff, right? And so the generations coming up, they stop getting that, right? Like, they don't have their own culture. They didn't really create anything. You know what I mean? And like, the generations coming up didn't create anything for them. Like, for decades now, they've been getting our hand-me-downs, right? So all the Heather Antoses and the Mags Visagios and all these other people who are, you know, in their late 20s, early 30s, they are literally getting all of our stuff. They're getting all of our hand-me-downs. All our hand-me-down IP, all our hand-me-down stuff like G.I. Joe and Star Wars and Transformers and She-Ra and He-Man and all that, right? And so they don't have anything that's actually theirs. And so for me, I feel like that's a big part of this whole weird woke culture war and all that kind of stuff. Because like, they don't have anything to hold on to. They don't have anything that's theirs. And so they look at all of our toys, literally like younger, you know, asshole kids, and they just want to wreck them. Right? You know, and so that's why I think they go, you know, whenever you get like the, whatever that one that made, Lumberjanes, and then she got She-Ra. You know, she somehow failed her way from Lumberjanes into running an animated series. And then she just disregarded everything that people our age knew about She-Ra, and then made their weird little prom D&D role-playing game thing that had nothing to do with it, right? And they wanted to destroy it, and they wanted to put all the things in there because they didn't care about it, right? And so I feel like a lot of the things we're getting, and the reason why we are upset, is because, you know, for lack of a better term, our little brothers and sisters are breaking our toys. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, like, we're like, why would you break that? Why would you take He-Man and take He-Man out of it and make it the Teela show, right? And they're just like, well, we don't have any reverence or respect for it. We didn't grow up with it, so we don't care about it. And I think that's kind of like the missing part of the culture war, is that like a lot of people don't even understand that part of it. Like, I don't even think it factors into some people's heads that like Gen Z and, you know, all these, you know, following generations just don't care about our shit. Like, seriously, they could care less that G.I. Joe is awesome, or that He-Man or Transformers or any of that stuff is awesome. Listen, I'm not like, but here's the thing. Look at Kevin Smith. That dude, after his heart attack, the pod people came in and just stuck him, you know, give him the soy syringe. And now that guy basically waters plants all day because that's all he does is fucking cry. And so, you know, he gets asked to do something, and he's like the biggest like hanger on. Like, that guy made like 2 good movies, maybe 3, maybe 4. Like, if we're being super generous, his super indie stuff. And then, like, anything he touched after that was trash. Like, when he made, what's that, Cops movie was super garbage. Like, you know, like, Kevin Smith had his time when he was, like, on the pulse of a generation's kind of angsty whatever, and he was able to relay that properly And so a lot of those people at the time, even with like Clerks 2, a lot of those people, like the Randall Graves of this world, were still working at a movies and hadn't achieved anything, hadn't done anything in their life. Like, and I think that's why the standard age in Comicsgate is 42. Like, that joke is a little too fucking real, because like you have a lot of people who have basically got to this point and realized they haven't fucking done anything with their life yet. Like, no offense, people, like, you know, but I feel like a lot of people have come to that realization and went, I have to do it now, for better or for worse, you know, like, and so that's kind of the weird thing about it, like, you know, and so, yeah, I don't know, like, it's really, the whole thing's really interesting to me, like, because like because I look at that stuff as things that I love, like, you know, I grew up watching all this stuff, and to see it just warped and distorted or completely just like thrown out the window and replaced with something else, like, you know what I mean, like Kevin Smith, perhaps, you know, yeah, I don't know, it's very bizarre. Like, that's the kind of thing, like, and I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, they've planned it all, and I mean, sure, some of it. I feel like some of the, you know, the Force is female and weird shit like that, I feel like some of that is intentional, right? But I also feel like some of the stuff is, hey, we've been given the keys to your toy box, but we don't care what figures are in the box. We don't know them. We don't have any love or concern for them. So we're just going to do whatever we want, right? Like, because it doesn't hurt them. You know, so why do you care? It's like, kind of like the way, like, there was a time, because like I had what's the best way to describe it? I had managed and ran 2 comic book stores for 6 or 7 years, working at these 2 stores, you know, and there was a time when I really, really, really thought that that's where my future was going to be at Marvel, right? And I even talked to, like, you know, Weird Inside, you know, Times Back Baseball, even talked about having an Image book. Like, straight up, talk to Image as a publisher, talk to Speakeasy as a publisher, etc. Played the field, right? When I was doing that. And then I kind of got to a point where I was like, if I got hired to draw a book, and I feel like I came to this realization well before all this nonsense started to happen, right? That if I was to get on a book like, you know, like a Spider-Man, how many times can Ben Reilly die? And if I draw Spider-Man swinging through the city to fight whoever, is that going to make a difference? Am I going to be happy with that? Right? Like, 10 different people can draw Spider-Man swinging through the city 10 different ways in the same 5 pages. And, you know, most people don't even read the, like, look at the pictures. They kind of glaze over them and read the word balloons. Like, I worked with a guy for 6 or 7 years who someone could die in a panel in the background, and I'd be like, oh man, did you see that, you know, Cable died in that issue? And he'd be like, what? Because he just read the word balloons as he flipped through. He just wanted to get the dialogue part of the story. And so you get to a weird point where unless the people like actually care about you and your stories, a lot of it's throwaway. Like, comics are very throwaway. You know, they are cat spankers. They are a disposable kind of thing, and they're meant to be. They always were. They're always very like $0.25. It's like we're getting into this weird like space where things are boutique, you know, and bespoke. You know, words with B. We're in the B phase of comics right now. You know, and where it's a boutique market. And things can be made bespoke for a very small group of very hardcore fans, and you can make a living doing that, and that's great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because if you look at where Marvel and DC and those places are, you can't make a living page rate. Like, no matter how good anybody is, like, you know, you could take any of these people, you know, like, you know, say Shelby today, right now. If he goes to Marvel, they're not paying him $300 a page. Doesn't matter who it is. Do you know what I mean? So unless you have some kind of big name, you're not making a living wage at Marvel or DC, right? So it only makes sense. Like, it's kind of like that IDW guy who was on Twitter complaining about losing his IDW deal. And it's like, why did you sign a deal with them for scraps when you could have crowdfunded and at least owned your own thing? Because there's no way that IDW was publishing that without having some kind of movie rights or IP rights or some kind of whole, like, you know, partial ownership in what he was doing. There's no way they were doing it just to print the book and pay him money, right? It's just not happening. Like, unless he has the coolest thing ever and they think they're going to sell a bunch of it. Which, it's IDW, they're not. They know they're not. Even with IP that they're paying for, you know, it's not happening. So that, I don't know, that's the really interesting thing to me about everything we're in right now. Like, you know, all the mainstream stuff is dying. Marvel and DC will like, no joke, I feel like they're going to be sold off. Like, all the IP and stuff like that. Because, like, Warner Brothers was sold off a whole bunch of their studios and stuff like that for games. And they trimmed down and they were looking to sell off everything. Individual. They didn't care. If you wanted to buy Harry Potter, you could buy Harry Potter games and start making Harry Potter games or Mortal Kombat or whatever. They might be more reticent to do that now after the Harry Potter game did so well. But they were, you know, they had a bunch of stuff on the chopping block. And same with Disney. Disney killed all their game studios and they just licensed everything out. You know? Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I feel like tomorrow, I would not be surprised to wake up and hear that Disney has sold off Marvel Comics and that they are now just licensing everything out. Because seriously, all they have to do is go, okay, we license, you know, say we license Wolverine out to IDW. So any stories or any characters they create, Marvel automatically owns. That's all you got to do. You just say, hey, you're licensing it from us, but we still consider you a work-for-hire licensee, and anything new you create, we automatically own as part of the licensing deal. That's all they got to do. And they own everything that anybody works on it does. Right? And so it's super easy to license all that stuff out and then just suddenly go, that's it. We no longer have any kind of thing. We are an IP licensor, and you can license whatever you want from us. Like, you know, you want to pay the money? Cool. You have to, and then they just put into the whole thing, you have to sell X number of units, or the license folds back to us automatically within a 5-year time span or whatever. Because when Electronic Arts had the Star Wars license, they only had it for a set block of time, and they actually had to go in and like ship games before a certain date. Same with Marvel, like a lot of the Marvel fighting games and stuff like that. And so there are kind of all kinds of weird rights where Activision has rights to certain Marvel games. Capcom has rights to certain Marvel games. Square has rights to that big Avengers game that just recently got shut down. So yeah, like, that's the thing. Like those amazing Mickey Mouse books. Yes, those French books. All the European Mickey Mouse books are beautiful. They're gorgeous. Why are they not available over here? Like, somebody please tell me. Same with a lot of the bande dessinée stuff. Like, I got that Goldorak book. It's only available in France. Beautiful 168-page, like, large format hardcover. Let me grab that. Just gonna find it here. Bancroft would be interested in this for sure. Mhm. So we have this big, beautiful Goldorak book based off of Go Nagai's classic anime. Now, Bancroft, you're going to be blown away by this art, this color work, the detail in the cities, everything. But it's only available in French. It's only available through Classics. Oh, come on, zoom. There you go. But yeah, incredible. Like, yeah, Xavier Dorison. I see his work and his writing in a ton of Bande Dessinée stuff. But yeah, like all this work. We went over this here a few weeks ago, and just the art in this is so beautiful and so rich in colors. And one of the really cool things about this book is it actually has a really cool color flow, and they use color to essentially remind you and flash back to events. And so there, like, as you go through the book, like, you'll see that, like, there's very distinct changes as it goes through the book, from lights to darks, from reds to blues to yellows. And it's incredible. Like, it's like the pacing, like, and that was the thing, like, we went through this book and you didn't even have to read it. You could tell what the story was just by, like, visually. It's so crisp and clear, and the size. And this is why I was very excited when Bancroft here, Michael Bancroft, said he was going to do a large format hardcover. I was like, oh yes, like this is, because one, it will do nothing but prop up the work. It will make the work stand like taller, stronger, just be more visually appealing, because you're not going to lose that detail. And all this stuff gets to breathe in a larger format. You don't have to, like, you're not shrinking things down and, like, losing, any detail. You're not, like, because this is probably almost as close to the size they were working at, and so if, and you're getting, like, what's that? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11 panels on a page, and it doesn't feel cramped. It doesn't feel bogged down. It doesn't feel rushed or squished in any capacity, right? But you're still, you're still able to do these long, very cinematic panels and shots, and you don't feel rushed, because you're not going for like a 60 page count or something like that. Like, and like I said, like, as you see, like, you're going on a color journey with this. Like, it's very, very beautiful. It's incredibly well done. I can't even, like, just express how excited this book alone made me to do work. Right? Like, this book, like, just energized me like nothing I'd had recently. And so I was just like, once I got it in my hands and started going through it and, like, looking at how big all the pages and panels and stuff were, and how clean everything was, because, like, I hate detail for the sake of detail, right? Like, it's one thing to, draw every girder in the Eiffel Tower or Tokyo Tower or whatever, That's one thing, like, and sometimes the detail is part of the storytelling, right? But I can't stand when people over-render bad anatomy. It drives me crazy, because if you just start erasing a lot of this cross-hatching or, shading, you can tell that the anatomy's busted immediately, right? And so, and I see it a lot. I see it a lot in this arena, this Iron Age, this Comicsgate, whatever you want to call it. You'll see people go, oh my God, that work is so detailed. And I'm like, okay, you're clearly not an educated eye. detail does not mean good. You know, it does not mean good rendering. It does not mean good anatomy. It does not mean good perspective. You know, and so that's one of the things that's very frustrating. Yes, I believe you would love it, Bancroft. I really do. Like, just like look at the tones and color work here. We're just using red, right? And it's just like it's still vibrant. It's still popping, you know. And like the only color on all these pages is shades of red. You know, you get these really deep, and it's like, and that's the thing. Like, it kind of like gets a little lost because it's on screen like this. But like, you know, there's blacks, there's inks there, but there's a lot of subtle, clean details in those reds, right? And so that's the thing. Like, the detail here is purposeful. It's legible, it's clean, it's defined, and it's not for the sake of, you know, I better crosshatch this so people think it looks detailed. That's, you know, that's not, it's just not where you want to be. I would prefer good anatomy, clean storytelling, because that's the thing. Like, the less lines you have, the easier it is to tell that your anatomy's. Just throwing that out there. But, you know, if you want to know if your anatomy's good, get rid of all those lines. You know, and you can tell immediately that your anatomy's flawed. And so, very, very, very pleased with this. Very stoked about it. The other thing I love about all these Bond SNAs is that they go through their working process. They talk about, like, this shows their very simple layouts. They're like super rough, you know, and some people be like, oh my god, it's a finished comic. But they're like really rough. They show all their page layouts. They show the stuff they threw away and the redesigns, and, like, you know, going from these very rough layouts to, you know, changing the pose and, like, you know, changing up how dramatic the actual shot is, the lighting and stuff like that. You know, they didn't just hit it out of the park the first time. There were, you know, corrections, changes. They, you know, didn't think the mood was right, you know, and like that stuff is like important. Like, and that's the thing. Like, and, you know, Bancroft will know for sure. A lot of the other creators that are in here will know for sure. Not everything comes out fully formed, even by the time it gets to the page, right? Like, you've laid out all these pages, you got there, and then when it's on the page and you're staring at it and you're looking at the flow of everything, you're like, it doesn't feel right. And so you have to go back and fix it. You have to make it feel right to read, to navigate. Because, like, you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, a lot of times when you see panel layouts, some people don't understand the flow of a page. You know, like the average reader just doesn't understand how their eye is supposed to travel. And if, as the artist or storyteller, whichever you prefer to call yourself, if you don't understand how to lead their eye, they're going to be lost. You know, and like even these black and white pages, you can see how your eye is meant to be led, right? Like, we're going Z's here. Right? You look at this, it's going off into the blackness. You cut down, boom, the center. You go over, there's a person on the left. You're reading left to right, so you're constantly Z shapes. Down here, right to the portal being open. He's standing there. He is the main figure. He has popped ahead, right? And so that's, you know, that's the way we're progressing through this entire thing. And, like, that's the thing. People, you see all these people with these, like, crazy page layouts and stuff like that. And for better or for worse, the 90s made people think that garbage page layouts were good storytelling. I don't know why, but there are so many people who bring the bad parts of the 90s with them, and a lot of it is terrible page layouts and page design and empty backgrounds and all this kind of nonsense. And there were cool things in the 90s, and there was a lot of really great stories being told. But a lot of them weren't being told at Image. As cool and as flashy as some of the stuff was, you don't remember those stories. Hello, Ice Queen. Good day. Or good evening, or good afternoon. I'm not sure what time it is in your neck of the woods. But yeah, like, just simple things like that with you know, I don't know. It's like I feel like there are people who are fans of comic books, but they are not fans of the craft, if that makes any sense. You know, they like to read, they like to look at pretty pictures, but they don't necessarily understand what makes a good comic book or what makes a good story. And so they will read some things and assume it is great because it might be, I don't know, one of the only books they've ever read that was above the standard of some of the trash that was put out in the 90s. You know, I do feel like a lot of the CGers that are customers, that are fans, that are buying some of these books are very much lapsed comics fans. And the last time they read a book was 20 years ago. You know, and I don't think that's a stretch. Just from seeing some of the people talk about certain books and stuff like that, they really don't understand that there has been an evolution in storytelling, and yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, no shame, no man. Listen, the one thing I will say about Rob is a good businessman. You know, not a great one, but he's still grinding. He's still doing it. I will say I think he's actually gotten better. Like, I read the Deadpool Bad Blood, and I'm gonna say, like, you know, that storytelling's probably some of the best storytelling I've seen from him, like, ever. You know, so it's very interesting to see that transition. But it feels like here's the thing. There are artists who you can see on everything they've ever done a huge leap, right? Like, you know, you'll look at the first thing they did and it's subpar, it's mediocre, and no offense, but there are a ton of people who are 5 to 10 years too early to be asking for money for a book because they, for whatever reason, they feel like that they're here and that they are somehow owed customers when the customers got to be earned. That's just all there is to it. You know, and you'll see some artists and their first project is subpar, mediocre, and then their second project is kind of, you know, it's all right. Because, like, I see people running around in these virtual streets, in these chats or on Twitter or wherever, talking mad shit about Marvel and DC books, and then they also have a book that looks nowhere near as good as the mediocre garbage that Tumblr artists are churning out at Marvel and DC. And I'm just like, do you not have eyes to see your own work? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and the whole gamut of those people just running their mouths and then showing up with mediocre work and asking money for it and then getting upset. Like, that's kind of been the weird cycle of this whole CG thing. A lot of the people leave because they think they're owed money. They think that because they're flying the flag, you know, whether it's Iron Age or whether it's Comicsgate or indie movement or whatever, you know, and a lot of those people seem to act like because they're waving the banner, they are entitled to the riches, you know, through simple virtue of waving the flag. And that's just not how it works. Like, you know, you don't complain about a lack of meritocracy at Marvel and DC and then go somewhere else and not have a standard of merit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but if you are not putting out good work that's better than the person beside you and the person beside them and all that kind of stuff, why should I pay money for work that, to me, looks worse than the stuff everyone's complaining about? Right? Like that's the thing. Like, and so I would really, like, I'm kind of happy the Iron Age thing happened, because I feel like that there are a lot of people who, I guess that, like, in an ideal world, we would have more Bancrofts. Like, seriously, like, straight up, like, as far as him having the title of ambassador, I feel like there are a lot more people who would like to fly under that flag than a lot of the other flags, right? Because there's a certain way that people carry themselves that leads people to want to hear what they have to say, right? And drama doesn't sell books. And if it sells one book, it's not going to sell two, right? And you can see that in a lot of people's numbers, right? So if you have people who are ambassadors and are also themselves creators, you are going to see more people interested in that space, right? Right? Like hello, Joe Ball. Like, the Joe Balls, the Diaz brothers, the Bancrofts, Eric Weathers, a lot of these people are just out there making cool stuff because that's what they want to do. There's no drama, right? There's no need for the drama. Because, what does drama have to do with your cool stuff? And that's the thing. Like, and the Shelbys, like, you know what I mean? Like, has Shelby ever been involved in any drama that I'm aware of? None. Like, right? You don't hear people running around, no whisper networks, no, like, oh, nudge, nudge, and so that's the thing. Like, I don't know. The whole thing, like, is like, that's the thing, like, I'd say like 90% of the people who are here as fans and customers and, that kind of thing. And there's probably a handful that are here for the drama, and the busybodies and that kind of stuff. And then I'd say the other 5% that's left over want to create stuff. They want to make their own books. They want to make their own, hardcover, volumes. They want to make comics. They want whatever it is they want to do. They want to create, and it's really interesting to me to see all that stuff. Hello, Jeremy. It's really interesting to see all that stuff and all the different ways that people are going about it and having success, right? And so, like, that's the kind of thing that excites me. Like, I like seeing what Shelby's doing. I like seeing what Joe Ball's doing. I like seeing what Bancroft is doing. And it's all very different, and it's all very exciting, and it's all, for lack of a better term, their passion and their excitement about the different ways that they're creating things and doing things is infectious. At least it is to me. And so that's the thing. Like, I see the whole thing as a challenge, right? Like, I see, like, the entire thing. I look at art as a problem to be solved, right? So if somebody says, hey, I want to see this, I go, okay, how do I do that? And I figure it out, and that's the kind of thing. Oh, hockey, you're not excited. Put your top hat and your vest away. Break off the shackles of whatever it is you do here. I'm drinking this for Shelby. Got a little Hires vodka, But yeah, we're just relaxing here. We're talking about some comics. I bought a whole bunch. Yeah, art is a problem to be solved. I bought a whole bunch of sketch covers. As I like to throw down the gauntlet. Anytime someone is doing something and I find it somewhat interesting that I'm not doing, and I think to myself, why am I not doing that? I go and buy some sketch covers. I go and say, hey, this is a good way for me to get more eyes on my art, you know? And so yeah, I'm gonna do that. You know, we're gonna do a bunch of fun traditional stuff. You know, got some Betty Page, we got some Robotech, got some Ice and Fire Super Blanks, you know, the whole thing, you know? And so yeah, you know, that's the kind of thing I like to do. I like the challenge. Yeah, you like that? You like that, Shelby? Listen, I got all these. Listen, we got all kinds of blanks here, Shelby. God. Okay, another Fire and Ice complete blank. Another Betty Page. I bought 3 Betty Page. 2 Power Rangers. 2 Liquid Kills. 2 Gargoyles. You know, we're going to put like a Demona, Elisa Maza. Maybe Goliath holding Elisa Maza. Who knows? We also got Gargoyles Dark Ages. We got a Savage Tale. See, this is a, you know, you and Andy were on there talking all that yang there, Shelby, about art and whatnot. And so I said, I'm going to go get myself some sketch covers, shut these 2 old men from the Muppets up, you know, with this Bella and Valeria, this John Carter of Mars, you know? Oh, and here's the other, this is one I wish I could have got, like, 10 of. This Kamen Rider Zero, you know what I'm saying? Got these turtles. Listen, I'm out here, I'm on these streets. Challenge accepted. You know what I'm saying? You know? Betty Page, Captain Harlock, the whole Rick Hunters. You know? What we got here? Lord Liam. Hello, good sir. You know? But yeah, try talking Amy Jo Johnson to back up. Listen, I'm already thinking about Amy Jo Johnson. Let's not, you know, not do it. But yeah, that's the thing. I picked up a bunch of blanks. I'm going to pick away at them. I still got a few more coming. I got a Spider-Gwen blank coming. I got a King Kong, because I've seen the King Kong and Conan. And I got a Red Sonja. You know? I'm out here. I'm on these mean streets. Going to do a bunch of sketch covers. And, that's the other thing, Shelby. I picked up a bunch of these Poscas for these sketch covers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, draw streams are coming. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do everything. I've already done a time lapse. What's it called? A time lapse ink wash stream of a Samus Aran piece I did. It's on the channel here. Yeah, there's going to be more art stuff. There's going to be more drawing streams, digital and traditional, as I have a whole bunch of projects and stuff I'm working on. Yeah, there's going to be tons of that kind of stuff. Big fun. Hello, Felix. Hail and bow, good sir. But yeah, like that's the thing. I'm pretty stoked about all that stuff, and yeah, you know, it's exciting. I do like to make things. I do like to create stuff, and you know, that's how we're rolling in these mean virtual streets. You know. So Rumble, some of them have a kind of glossy textured of a regular cover, and some of them do have the matte, and that's why I got the Poscas for those ones there. I figured I would lightly I do some pre-sketching, kind of figure out what I want to do, and then I would, because you're only going to get one decent shot at these sketch covers, so I figured, you know, we're not going to go too crazy and just start sketching on them right away. I want to kind of do some rough stuff and kind of figure out my layout for the cover before I do it. Because especially with the, like, if you have some of the red ones, like, you know, say like this is the Robotech one, it's in there somewhere, but If you were to, do some sketching and then erase, I don't know if that would lighten up like a red bristle board would. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you started erasing on it, would it kind of ink up a bit? So I kind of want to do as little erasing as humanly possible to kind of keep the covers as pristine as possible when I put the art and stuff on them. So yeah, we'll kind of do that kind of warm up sketch here once I figure out my layout and where I want everything, and then I'll just redraw it again, on the cover. And then I'll do full inks and probably pop out the Poscas, because like I said, I'll grab it actually anyway, because it's in my head now. Where is that Robotech? Yeah, like because I immediately got to thinking once I seen these Robotech ones, right? I immediately looked at these and went, Min-Mei in the China dress, right? It's red. The dress is red. So I immediately was like, okay, Min-Mei in the China dress when, she was working at her family restaurant on the SDF-1. Boom. Right there. You could do Min-Mei. She wore a lot of red. Min-Mei in that, or maybe like Rick Hunter and Min-Mei. Or you could have Min-Mei wearing Rick's helmet. There was the scene where she puts on Rick's helmet and it's also red and white. And her dress was red in that scene as well. And so I was like, I can use the red to my advantage. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing. Like I will think about these covers until I do them, right? Like I'll think about what I'm going to put on them. And then once it works, like for me, thinking about drawing is almost better than drawing. No joke. If I'm like thinking about it when I'm doing other stuff, I draw Soundwave on these. Yes. No, but like, that's the thing. Like, I'll like think about a layout or whatever, and then that'll be in my head. And then when I sit down, it just comes out. Right. And so I find it better to kind of be like, okay, I'm going to do Min-Mei, with the big, hair buns and the red China dress on one of these. Right. And so I'll think about that pose. Like, she had the one where she walks out and she's got both her hands in the long arm flaps or whatever, and then or maybe her carrying some like steam buns or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Buns and buns, buns. Stuff like that. And so yeah, and like Betty Page, slam dunk, hot girl with bangs, all day, every day, no problem. Bella and Valeria, two hot girls. One might have bangs, one might not. John Carter of Mars. Green six-legged arm guy? No. I'm going to do a lady from Mars. Maybe even John Carter throwing her over his shoulder. Who can say? That kind of stuff. Like that's, and so they're exciting to me, just because I'm going to do some fun stuff, like, with like the gargoyle stuff. There's going to be a Demona. There's going to be an Elisa Maza, with her red leather jacket on, looking badass, or sexy. Who can say? That kind of stuff, and these ice and fire ones I'm pretty stoked about because there's nothing on them. Like you can just you don't have to worry about any kind of logo getting in your way or funking up the place. Captain Harlock, also very exciting, Savage Tales. Yeah. And this was one big order, from a comic shop, in Toronto. I just was like, I hit them up and I was like, hey, what you guys got for blanks, And so I bought most of them. Like I was just like, hey, what's going on? And the guy was very stoked. He was just like, you buying all these? I was like, yeah, I'm buying all of them. And so these ones are a little annoying, right? Hello, Tank. How you doing? What? Draw Betty in Spidey 300 pose. Cash money. You know what's funny? I got the Spider-Gwen one, and I actually am thinking about doing it. We'll see. I'll sketch around. If I just draw something super sexy and like that, I will, but I might also do a Spider-Man, or I might do a Spider-Man 300 in the background of Sexy Gwen. And then these, I want to write these guys a strongly worded letter, right? Like, if you go look on the website, all their comics have this little Liquid Kill logo up top, and it's right small. But for their sketch cover, they do this. Like, do you ever want to walk into a place and slap a motherfucker in the side of the head? This is the reason. Why would you do this? There's a sketch cover. Now I have to figure out, like, am I going to put, like, a gun here, you know, or something like that, you know, draw the person there and then have the gun be golden? Like, oh. Right? Like, this could be part of a gun or I don't know, or a sword or a knife or I don't know. Somehow I'm going to figure out some way to incorporate this weird gold bullshit into the pieces I do. Or draw over them. I don't know. One of those two things. But yeah, I'm super annoyed with those covers. But I looked at the books and they look pretty cool. And a lot of the covers, the art was cool. And there was a lot of really cool cyberpunk sexy ladies. Which I'm down with. You know, Power Rangers, you know. Luke Cage is the Black Ranger on this one. And then, you know, Iron Fist as the Green Ranger. I don't know. No, neither one of those, but who knows? Again, I wish I would have got 10 of these. For some reason, these are really hard to come by. The place only had the one, and if they would have had 20 of them, I would have bought 20 of these. Like, straight up. And so, because I would have drawn, like, you know, 70s, like, original Kamen Rider, you know, just all the way up. I would have drawn a bunch of different Kamen Riders through the Heisei eras and, you know, all that stuff. Turtles, got a couple green, you know. And that the Poscas will work pretty well here too, I hope. You know, we'll see. We'll see. I may make a mess of some of these, and I'm fully aware. That's why I bought multiples of almost all of them. But chances are things are just going to go the way they go. They're going to go good. Not terribly worried about it. And yeah, the other ones, there's still a handful of them to show up. Which is the King Kong, the Conan, and the Spider-Gwen, and the Red Sonja. As soon as they show up. You know, because what's funny is I ordered them first, and then these showed up before. Which is the way everything works. You know. Really? Toby's got some older Kamen Rider blanks. Interesting. And then there was the other one, speaking of. And I thought it would be funny, and I'm sure that, like, me and, like, 2 other people will find it hilarious. Is that these ones, that's just the Fire and Ice blank. But these ones, because it's Carmen, I was seriously thinking about typing, like, you know, writing out Rider underneath it and drawing her as a Kamen Rider, you know, Carmen Rider, but a bunch, you know, and me and like 2 other people would find that hilarious. Yeah, but the Maleficents, the Nocturna Val special, you know, we're going deep. Godzilla vs. Kong, yeah, I'll probably grab some of those as well. The Godzilla vs. Kong JLA ones. Yeah, I don't know. I just like the idea of doing something different. Because, like I said, I mostly work digital, but I'm not afraid of traditional, and I do traditional just fine. It's whatever. It is what it is. It's just you're using a pen instead of a digital pen. Yeah, Carmen Sandiego also be great. I could draw Carmen because the girl Carmen has like this like her suit is like a skeleton. Anyway, doesn't matter. She's got weird powers and can fly. But she could be Carmen Sandiego. You know what I'm saying? I could put a red hat and a red trench coat on her. And that would kind of be funny. You know? Yeah. Carmen Chameleon. They come and go. Listen, these are all great ideas, guys. I'm telling you. This is why we don't crowdsource ideas. This is why ideas by council are the death of everything. You know what I'm saying? I hear you. But yeah, like, I don't know. We've covered a lot of topics today. It's been very, very intellectually stimulating. You know. But yeah, I don't know. I look forward to it. Like, 'cause like you know, like I seen these Maleficent ones, and I was like, damn, I got to grab those. Straight up Angelina Jolie, J. Scott Campbell vibe. Boom. Sexy ladies, done and done. No problem. Sexy ladies are like sleeping to me. They just come out at night and end up on the page. You know, but yeah. I can probably get more of them. And they weren't like, here's the crazy thing. Most of these books were cheap. Like $3. Like, the only one that was actually like expensive was, where's it at here? This Captain Harlock. This one was $10. This was the only one that was like made me kind of maybe second guess if I should buy it or not. I was kind of like $10, but then I was like, come on, let's just all in on me. No worries, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. No worries about what I'm gonna do. You know, and that's the thing. So chances are we'll have Harlock looking badass. Or the lady in Burgundy, which I can never remember her name right now, but she's hot in that spacesuit, you know. Good times. Well, listen, Lord Liam, I'm gonna say, you know, creativity and the death of it is done with a bunch of people around a table. You know, sometimes someone in the chat or in the ether will have a good idea. And someone who can actually take that idea and do something good with it does. But most people just have ideas and don't do anything with it. Hey, you know what? You just reminded me, and it's kind of wild, Blue. Jane Fonda, not her, but Barbarella is public domain. I was looking at, because a lot of people have been talking about stuff in the public domain lately. And so I happened to look up a bunch of characters and see what was public domain. And Barbarella is public domain. And I was like, what? I was like, is that real? Like, could I make like a sexy Barbarella one-shot romp? You know? Like, I was like, really? Could I just bust out like a Barbarella? Like, you know? That'd be fun. But like at the same time, I'm just like, why couldn't I just call it, you know, I don't know, Barba Papa and, you know, whatever, and make my own story that I just would have told with Barbarella. Like, you know, the only reason why I think it's interesting to use some of these, like, public domain IP is the brand name recognition. Like, instantly, if I put out a new Barbarella story, you're kind of going to have a built-in audience for better or worse, right? And so, if you're a fan and you're true to it, you could do some cool things and, you know, put your own twists on it and tell your own kind of story that would still feel comfortable to fans of the original source material, but you're doing something unique and new. So that is interesting to me, but at the same time, it's just like, I could just create my own, you know, Barbie, whatever, you know, Starby, I don't know, whatever, IP, you know, Liquid Barb, you know, fights in space, whatever. Yeah, do it. You know, yeah, like Brutus the Barbarella Beefcake. There we go. That'd be fun. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like, do you do something completely new because it's yours and you have all the satisfaction from building that IP and sharing that IP, but everything that goes with your own IP is that you're fighting against some random company putting out Barbarella, and just selling copies of it no matter what, right? And so you could make a cool thing with the Barbarella name on it, or you could make your own cool thing with your own name on it. You know, I don't know. It depends on what you're doing things for, right? Like that's also the thing too. Like, I mean, if you look at like what Von Klaus did with Black Terror, you know, he had a really interesting spin on that character, and I feel like he honored the character while doing something new, right? And no one's really doing anything that cool with that character, and it's like, you know, in a kind of a super cartoony design, and you know, you could see that, you know, and he brought a bunch of other characters in, like Lady Satan and all that stuff like that, you know, and so you can see that there's value in that because they already kind of have a built-in history and they have a built-in mind share, right? And so that's kind of the interesting thing about a lot of that stuff is like, you know, but at the same time, when you look at like She-Ra on Netflix, people had expectations for that, and because it was hot garbage and people went to prom and all that kind of stuff, everyone was upset because they had an expectation, right? And so, you know, do you push forward, you know, with your own thing with no expectation, or do you go into some public domain IP? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a good time, that's for sure. Like, I don't know, it's just interesting. Like, you just think about that stuff, you know, when it comes up and is becoming more commonplace, and a lot of things are coming into the public domain now. So yeah, it's interesting to me. No, I've never said that in my life, Crazy Man, but that's all right. It's like Jake, who makes everything about him. You know what I'm saying? Can't just leave it alone. He just has to make everything about him. It's all right. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. I like a lot of that stuff. Like, it's like, look at this, like that book Goldorak, right? Like these French dudes are straight up adapting and retelling a Go Nagai series, right? And it's very fucking good. So you know what I mean? Like, when you have a love of that stuff, listen, like, I don't disagree, Shelby, right? I 100% don't disagree at all. Like, the public domain stuff is for the uninspired, and I don't disagree, but like, at the same time, I'm just saying you could be a fan, you could be inspired by said IP. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like saying that working on Spider-Man is for the uninspired. And I would agree. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I do agree that that's the thing. Like, if I go, like, tomorrow, like, you know, like, say I put out my project and I get a lot of excitement around it, and you know, things change at Marvel and DC. And someone from Marvel or DC approaches me and said, hey, would you like to work on Spider-Man? And I'm like, what do you do with Spider-Man that hasn't already been done? Right? His Uncle Ben dies, great power comes great responsibility. Is he high school Peter, or is he college Peter, or is he married Peter? You've only got a handful of options, right? And you can't do anything with those characters that is really transformative anymore. Right? Like, Peter can't lose an arm. He's just never going to lose an arm. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And so I can't go to Marvel or DC and matter of fact make anything that is dramatically going to change those characters from here on out. You know what I mean? Like, it's, for the most part, you're hiring new teams of people to retell Spider-Man's origin, or Venom's origin, or any of the, you know, does Gwen Stacy die? You know, what, you know, you're kind of free to tell stories within boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, there's a clear cage that you're in that is Spider-Man, or that is Green Lantern, or that is whatever. And you're free to tell a story within that as long as you don't step outside those boundaries, right? And so, yeah, I agree, but a lot of people want to write and draw Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, right? But that's the thing, like reboot, but everybody reboots everything and it ends up in the same shitty place it was in. I can't think of any major reboot that right now today is still impactful and is still exciting and still interesting, right? Like, you can go back to that work and that work for the time, but like, it's like, look at Green Lantern. Like, there are a whole bunch of people who Jon Stewart, because of the cartoon, is their Green Lantern, not Hal Jordan, which is crazy to me because Hal Jordan has been Green Lantern forever. Jon Stewart is another Green Lantern, but he's not the Green Lantern. You know, and so that's the kind of thing, like, you know, so if I went there and I created any of these characters, what about them changed anything? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, you know, like say I go and I work on, well, that's true. That's true. I don't disagree with that either. Shelby says, there's no use to give the faceless Big Two anything original with their IPs, right? They'll just use the farm new resource material for other media with little or no reward. Exactly, right? And so you're not going to get like Joe Mad created Blink. He was work for hire. He showed up in X-Men, like Blink showed up in the X-Men movies, and he didn't get squat for them because he was work for hire. They said, hey, we need to create a character. He was like, okay, I'll create this character called Blink. She's going to teleport everybody around. And she caught on. A lot of people like Blink, right? She shows up in those movies. He gets nothing for it. Like, you know, and so, but that's the thing. Like, they all signed those contracts. They all knew it was all work for hire. It all said in it. And, you know, and anybody who didn't, you know, maybe a Mark Miller or Steve McNiven or, you know, any of those people later on who still had sweet deals, you know, Bendis, whatever. Maybe some of those guys are still getting a royalty check. Maybe they're still getting a cut, right? But yeah, like, I agree. I couldn't even imagine like going there and, well, I see. Here's the thing. Like, it's not that they're hiring people with no imagination. It's that they're hiring people who don't love storytelling. They're not hiring people who love what they do. They're hiring people who have an agenda, right? Like, you know, and I mean, there are probably still people who are there who love what they do, right? And so, yeah, that's right. Go grab a Buzzball. I've got this Hires vodka. But yeah, like, there are probably still people who love what they do that work there. Like, I'm sure Greg Capullo, some of the other people who are still kind of mingling back and forth between Marvel and DC. Like, I've met Darwin Cook 2 times. And so that's the thing. Hello, Blake. I've met him a couple times, and I feel like he would be very down with what's going on right now. Before he passed, he talked a lot about how much he hated Marvel and DC, but he loved the IPs they had. He loved the characters, and he said he said they know how much, like, people like Darwin, people like Alex Ross love those characters, and they use it against them. And so they're like, yeah, they're gonna be like, hey, why don't you make whatever? You can do this, you can do that, whatever. And then they'll come in and start butting in and doing stuff like that. And he's like, because they know you want the work and you're not going to walk away. Right? Like, they know you, they kind of have you over a barrel because you love, you know, their slate of characters, their whatever. And they're just 100% going to abuse the people who love the work. That's just the way it is, you know. And so, yeah, that's interesting. Hello, Trent. Hello, Maddie. But yeah, that's the thing. So, it's really interesting to see all that stuff because hey, you know, as people who grew up loving all those things like Marvel and DC and all that kind of stuff, to see people who do, you know, who don't love it, kind of destroy everything. You know, they're in your toy box and they're wrecking your toys. To see those people do that is frustrating to a lot of people, but they don't know any better and they don't care. You know, and so that's really interesting. So yeah, I don't know. It's 5 of one, half a dozen of the other, I guess you'd say. I don't know what Blake's plan is. I don't know. Yeah, don't play with him, Sir Spence. But yeah, interesting stuff. I don't know. I've always been a fan, you know, of the books, of the good times. But yeah, we're in an interesting time now, like with the Iron Age and with all the indie stuff, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. That's the most interesting part about all of it. But yeah, all these sketch covers, and we'll see me doing all these sketch covers over the next few months. You know, as the inspiration strikes, as time permits, you know. I've got a whole bunch of new books, art books, Dragon Quest, everything like that. New games. All kinds of fun, exciting stuff. You know. It's good times. It's good times indeed. And you guys are having a really exciting conversation. Damn it, Shelby, you have no buzzballs in the fridge. Unfortunate. Incredible. I'm telling you. That happening over here. But yeah, it's very, very exciting. Whatever it is, it's going to be Mario and Luigi Brothers. Well, incredibly exciting. I'm telling you. Yeah, I mean, there could be a billion other places where you could have your very exciting conversation, but you can have it here. I don't care. I don't mind. It's entirely up to you. You know, it's all views. Doesn't matter to me. So, you know, it's all good in the end. That is for sure. Sumo, you should eat something. Preferably not on your porch. That's for sure. You know, sometimes you get porch food. Sometimes you don't. But yeah, it has been exciting, adventurous. Yeah. Exactly. I'll have a little of this vodka left. It's a good time. I'm going to enjoy it. Fires, vodka. You know how it is. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I guess if you still want to work for Marvel or DC, you know, I could see it. But like, who's going to work for those low page rates, get next to nothing for it, not have any long-term value in those IPs, because they just switch people out. Nobody's doing runs like nobody's doing a Mark Bagley run in comics anymore. You know, and so yeah, that's the thing. You know, it's a very good question. Mostly because I've probably went longer than I anticipated. Crazy Mad, you know. Yeah, exactly. You might inspire a Bullet Ninja Spiral. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how long I've been going. 2 hours. Jeez. It's 2 hours longer than I probably should. Well, I only meant to go for an hour, if I'm being honest. But yeah. But that's the thing. Oh. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we got those. I got these. And these are they. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure it was. You thought I just started? I've been going for 2 hours, Shelby. You know what I'm saying? That's the fun part. No. I went slightly in depth about Goldorak earlier. Bancroft was here, and I was showing him off the majesty of the bande dessinée, the beautiful color layouts, the design, the incredible page and panel layouts. All very, very good. Like, look at this stuff. Just incredible. I'm a big fan. Like, yeah, and that's the thing, Blue. Like, as far as this goes, like, this is only available in France. I had to import this lovely Goldorak, Go Nagai, only available in French for whatever reason. Might be a license issue. I'm not 100% on that, but I know there's no English version, no Japanese version actually either. If I'm 100% correct on that, I think. But don't hold me to that. But definitely no English version. There might be a Japanese version. But yeah. So yeah, one of the things I was showing off here, and showing off to Bancroft and everybody else that was here at the time, is like how interesting the layouts are, how really cool the color work is. And there is actually a really strong color flow through the entire book. And there's also a lot of really cool color nods that are, like, without even understanding French at all. You can go through this book and the story is very cleanly told and very cleanly hinted to and swung back to previous story parts and previous angles with color. It is what I would consider like a, book on tape as far as color theory was concerned, as far as, a TED Talk, even, if you will. Yeah, it's just great. Like, and there's some really cool designs in here, and just like the way they use color, just to define big moments. It's just incredible. And there's also a really cool, like, yellow to blue to red flow through the book. And it's very intentional and it's very well done. Like, just as you see, like, if you were to look at this in like a color histogram, so to speak, it would actually be really cool to see the way it flows. But yeah, and like you clearly know you're going back in time. It's all sepia toned, and it cuts through to him retelling it. You don't even need to read the language to understand the storytelling, and that stuff is really cool to me. Yeah, I don't know, big fan of, like, and that's the thing, like, and like I was saying before, like, everything is so crisp and clean, but it's not over detailed. There's not a lot of cross hatching, not a lot of shading for the sake of it, And so yeah, it's very cool, very cool. What? No, absolutely not. Yeah. No, actually, this came from France. The French. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm good. My life is very good. There is nothing that needs to be changed in it. So, we're all good. Buddy of yours in all same sense and storytelling just needs to refine his work ethic. Yeah, like, I think that's the thing, like, and I was saying it before, I feel like there are a lot of people who are fans of comics, but aren't fans of storytelling. They aren't fans of, page layouts, scenes, design, just the interesting kind of ways that pages flow. If you're looking at, like, Alex Toth stuff, if you're looking at, like, just any of that kind of, like, classic stuff, they really had it figured out back then. And then, Image came, and a lot of it was, like, style over substance. And like I said, like, I feel like in a lot of ways, a lot of people took the bad parts of Image and brought them forward instead of bringing the good parts of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and brought them forward with the 90s. And that's kind of the thing that's like really interesting about now, because we're all traveling back and looking at that stuff in the 80s and 90s, 70s, 50s. Like, a lot of people are like looking back at sci-fi and stuff from the 50s and 60s, even like film noir. Actually, that reminds me, that's a really interesting thing about going back and watching like A Gun for Hire or Casablanca or The Maltese Falcon. They are shot like comic books. They are like straight up, like if you watch them, their side shots, their lighting shots, they use lighting in a way that's just like, here's the shot, the people are in the scene, cut, next scene, like it's like from panel to panel. And a lot of those old films like basically read like in still frames. If you just go this scene, boom, this scene, this scene, this scene, as they transition, they're just still shots like a comic book. There's not a lot of dynamic camera pans. It's just a straight on shot. Even if there are people walking through a crowded scene, it is these really simple, almost comic book like shots. And it was really kind of wild to go back and watch something like the Maltese Falcon from like the 40s and stuff in the 50s. And just be kind of blown away that they are basically already comic books, just through lighting and through like scene setup and everything. So yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting because like before, like I was saying, even when you look at image stuff, and a lot of this excitement around image stuff was how bombastic everything was and how they were pulling from, a lot of Japanese comics and anime and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's interesting to see like this is fairly new, like, and so they are pulling from all that stuff, but these none of these guys are Japanese. These are all European guys, so that's the kind of thing that like is really exciting to see people taking what they've learned from others and building and continuing to build. And I really wish that there's so many people that are coming here and they love the 90s and, they love, what Rob did or what a lot of these people do. But like even Rob has evolved, like, Rob Liefeld, like, he has evolved, and for some people like Rob, it seemed like his evolution was more drawn out than others. And other people, you would see their first book was their second book, okay. The third book was better, and everything got better in huge leaps and bounds, and from project to project. And then a guy like Rob, he seemed to kind of like stay in his lane, found his thing and didn't have to do anything to get attention because he already had the attention, so he didn't have to up his game. He didn't have to, knock it out of the park every time because people are already in his park, So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Blue Samurai, I keep seeing image-inspired art that is wild and detailed but doesn't lend well. So, well, that's the thing. Like, I see a lot of people who think detail means skill, means craft, means that they understand storytelling, that they understand anatomy, and they really don't. That they understand lighting and shadow and stuff. And if you just took an eraser and got rid of all that cross-hatching around that arm and that whatever, that body, you would instantly see that they didn't understand a good anatomy. They didn't have good anatomy from the jump, and they just hit it all with detail. And then a bunch of people went, wow, that's really detailed, and didn't actually jump into it and look at it and go, oh, that guy looks awesome, or that foreshortening is really good. Because as soon as you get rid of all that detail, you instantly see that the perspective is off, or that their anatomy is terrible. And so, yeah, that's the kind of thing where I wish, like, and it's not, that's the thing. It's not your job as a reader or as a fan to understand anatomy, to understand storytelling. You're trying to just be entertained. You're trying to sit down and, read a book and be like, oh, that was fun, or that was sad, or that was, exciting, or whatever, And so, anyway, that's the thing. Like, I really like that people are delving back And but I wish that the people who are, that are currently delving back to the 90s would delve also back to the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and the 50s and pull a lot of that stuff forward with them, or even looking at, like, because that's the thing too, like a lot of those guys at Image were looking at Masamune Shiro. They were looking at it, like, Otomo. They were looking at all these other guys, and so they took the flashy stuff from it. They were like, oh, he draws buildings really cool. He draws, guns really cool. We got the big vacuum guns, all of that stuff. And then they never actually took the storytelling that the Japanese were doing along with them. You know what I mean? They just were like, okay, there's no background here. We're just going to do a big tall guy with guns stand there with no background. That's going to be cool because in Akira they did that. That looked cool. But they didn't understand, at least I feel, they didn't understand why they thought it looked cool. They just thought it looked cool and duplicated. And so that's the interesting thing about that. And so, like, I feel like that's what's happening now. Like, there are a lot of people that are like, oh my god, the 90s were amazing. And they were cool. There was a lot of great stuff in the 90s. But I sometimes feel that everyone's taking the wrong things from the 90s. It's kind of like when you see people who try to make fake anime or fake manga. They have the big eyes, but they don't have the storytelling or the anatomy or any of that kind of stuff down. What do we got here? Most young guys completely ignore storytelling, underdrawing, etc. All smoke and mirrors, too many people saying it's good. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. So I'm always afraid of praising things or being overly harsh on things. Don't want to fall. Well, here's the thing. Like, not everybody. And here's also the other weird thing, is I see a lot of people gravitate towards art that they think they could do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, like, back in the early 2000s, when I worked managing these two comic book stores, and guys would come in and they would like some of the weirdest, ugliest crap. And then they would come in with their sketchbook, and that's what their stuff looked like. And it's because they felt they could achieve it. They were like, oh, well, I could do that. And you were just like, well, that guy's a middling fill-in issue, or he's drawing some kind of weird, Image book or whatever. And Image in the early 2000s was an Image of the 90s. It was what it was, and still is to an extent. But yeah, but that's the interesting thing, is like, you will see a lot of people who actually gravitate towards kind of middling to mediocre art because that's what they think they could achieve. And so it's a weird kind of placebo aspirational connection for them. And so once they start putting pen to paper, they understand that that's not really how it works. And that you see a lot of these guys who, well, like Shelby says it here, a lot of these people weren't really ready to go to print. And I would argue that there are many people asking money for a product who are 5 or 10 years away from rightfully asking for money. Right? Like, because these are the same people who are complaining about Marvel or DC or the Cal Arts, excuse me, the Cal Arts style of animation, and then they go and put their product, because if you're crowdfunding or you're doing anything and you're asking for money for something, it is a product. Hello, Jeremy. But you know what I mean? Like, if you're crowdfunding for something and you're asking for a product, it immediately becomes a commodity. It becomes critiquable, and you're asking, as soon as you're taking money for it, you are becoming a professional, and you should be treated like one and expect to be treated like one. And everything good and bad that goes along with it. So if I put out something and, Admiral Wackass picks it up and says, I didn't like this. He paid money for it. He has the right to complain about it. Just how it is. Right? Like, he spent his 10, 20, 30, whatever dollars on the book, got it home, read it, was either happy with it or wasn't. And that's his right based on him just purchasing the book. I don't owe him anything. He doesn't owe me anything, right? And that's the other thing too that kind of drives me crazy about this whole like crowdfunding kind of weird thing. If you crowdfund my book or Michael's book, well, I'm not speaking for Michael, but you know, I'm just gonna say, if you crowdfund somebody's book, right? I don't owe you anything. You have decided to crowdfund this for your own reasons. Selfish or not selfish, the kindness of your heart, whatever it is. But you're still getting a product, right? Like, you know, you can feel good in your little heart all you want, all day, all night. That you helped me. Oh, poor me, poor humble artist creator. Oh, you helped me. Oh God. You know? And yes, we all appreciate that, right? Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be an asshole. We appreciate it. But at the end of the day, settle down. At the end of the day, this is a product that you bought and you got something for, right? And so, like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, you're making someone's dream come true. But like, no one's twisting your arm. Like, no, when I go and buy, a Switch game or an Xbox or a PS5 game or a comic book or a movie or a Blu-ray, the people who made it because they had something to share and they wanted to create it and they hoped other people would also like the thing. Like, typically people make things that they would like to read, right? So if I'm making a giant robot story, it's because I like giant robot stories and I like to tell, and I hope that there are other like-minded people out there who would like to read a giant robot story, right? That's the hope, right? And that's my thing. Like, I'm not out here to blow smoke, and I don't want that smoke. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that, like, a lot of people act like they are, like, there's a cross on their back, and they're like, I've backed your book. Oh, and I'm just like, dude, you're getting a book. I just have to make the book. Like, you know what I mean? Or the video game, or the posters, or the, whatever, the chess set, whatever it is you're buying from me. There's still a selfishness, it's not, you're not doing this selfless act. You're not Mother Teresa out here funding comic books. Like, let's not pretend that you don't like comic books and there's a selfishness in you to give me money to get a book and read and enjoy the book. Right? Like, you're going to get something out of it. It's not like, oh my God, like the slings and arrows that you have taken this day, good sir, for your $25 are unheard of. No. It's like, you're getting a book. Settle down. But no, like, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Like, just some people act like they're just like, woo, Mother Teresa out here, one book at a time, over their shoulder. And it's like, whoa, settle down, chief. Like, woo, you didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of like, oh, I bought this iPhone. Apple, you owe me. And it's like, no, they spent billions of dollars researching, manufacturing, enslaving Chinese children to get that phone to you. They don't owe you shit. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of some things that kind of pop up in my head, and when I see certain people talk about certain things or certain questions or whatever. No, there wasn't even a buzz. This is like, this vodka, this chump change, 5% alcohol. Nothing wacky going on here. But yeah, like that's the thing. Horchata shooter, chocolate almond milk. Ew, man, Shelby, take care of yourself, brother. Sweet Jesus, sweet zombie Jesus, take care of yourself. You're too young to bleed so often into the cuff of your pants like that. Mm-hmm. Right? And Ella could be the queen. You know? Pretty cool chess set, Bancroft. Yeah, I know your leg is bleeding right now. I'm going to design a pair of pants with a small gutter at the cuff that collects Shelby's leg blood and reintroduces it intravenously into his system, cleaning and purifying said blood. Dialysis, if you will. You know. Oh, really? Man. Bobby. He should do it. He should do an EFAP of that. A refap. A refap. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. You know. Yeah. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I do find this space interesting. And there are a lot of really interesting, creative people making cool stuff. And I think that's what draws a lot of people to it. A lot of the drama, a lot of the weird nonsense, you know, and bickering and whatever. It's like, you know, you get a bunch, like, and that's the thing too. We're all a bunch of assholes, right? Like, artists are kind of like wrestlers, right? You have to have an incredible ego and belief in yourself to keep doing it, right? If you do not have the ego and the belief in yourself to keep doing it, you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to keep doing it. You're never going to try to get better. You're never going to do that, right? And so, in some ways, I think that's why there's so much mediocre garbage out there, because there are a lot of people that have more drive than talent, or and I don't like the word talent, because like most, like the 99.999% of people don't have any fucking talent at all. Zero talent, right? It's all study. It's all repetition. It's all putting in the time, right? Some people have a better eye than others. That's not a talent. That is just, you know, some people's neurons are firing better than others. They have better spatial relations. They understand depth better. You know, it's kind of like women. You know, some of them can't drive. Some of them can't cook. Some of them can't do whatever. Like, you know, and it's like, but they can learn. But others don't have any spatial relation. Others don't have any sense of direction, etc., etc. And that's the same with art. Some people just don't know what they don't know. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like, if you don't understand that there's a language to the way a comic page is supposed to go, they're just going to put shit on the page and be like, why don't you get my storytelling, good sir? And you're going to be, because it's fucked up and doesn't make sense. That's why I don't get it. And they're going to be like, I didn't know that. Or they're going to be butthurt and cry and, you know, whatever. But like, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And I agree. I think the interesting part, Bancroft, about you and why a lot of people actually rally around you is because it's kind of like the leadership they would like to see. Right? Like, I think that your audience and a lot of people who I'm not gonna say look up to you, because we're all about the same age, and I don't think that they're necessarily looking up to you, but like, respect what you do, I guess, is the best way, you know, the best way to put it, and appreciate what you do, is because there is no drama, there is no arrogance, there is no pretense that you are doing it among, like, you know, from your ivory tower, we'll say, you know. And so there's a lot of people that respect that, you know, and it's not like it's not good for you, because it is. But, you know, that's the thing, you know. Well, I mean, some people understand that there's a balance between everything, and that you catch a lot more flies with honey than you do with drama and bullshit and infighting. And people get tired of it, and a lot of people have left. And there's a lot of people who basically just kind of move on. They go, okay, well, the drama, like I've seen people try to get in fights with people because they had a book coming out. Like straight up, that was their plan. Their plan was to get into some kind of bicker war, get in some kind of drama, so that they could be like, oh, I look at me, oh, big mean man said mean things to me on the internet. And it's like, fuck off, you're a fucking adult, grow the fuck up. If your book isn't good enough to sell on its own and you need drama for it, then your book is no fucking good. Period. Straight up, throw yourself and the book in the trash and go do something else. Go fucking work at Wendy's. Go fucking work in the mall. Go get your GED. I don't give a fuck what you do. But if you're not making books for the fucking love of making books and telling stories, and if you can't find an audience for those books, and a lot of people, like, I know it's not a perfect system. Merit is what it is, and like that kind of thing doesn't take everybody as far as it should. There are tons of people who are incredible artists, but can't talk. They have no salesmanship, and in this day and age, you have to be the artist, the creative, the PR guy. You got to be your own HR. You got to be your own manager. You got to do all this stuff, when before you'd be like, oh, I hope I get to work at Marvel, and then they put your name on the book, and because they ship it out to all the stores and everything like that, people know who you are, right? And they go, oh, did you see that book that Jason Aaron did? Oh, and they're excited about it, but you don't have to do anything, right? But now's not that time anymore. Even for people who work at Marvel, somebody tell me a new, awesome artist or writer at Marvel or DC right now. Seriously. Like, somebody tell me, like, the new hype, hotness, like, oh my god, did you see this guy's art? He is amazing. No. Nobody's having that conversation, because all that shit looks like Tumblr art, and it's hot trash. Yes. 300. I'm telling you, Shelby, like, Amazing Spider-Man 300, let's go. No, listen. I don't think that Bancroft gets enough respect, Sumo. I'm gonna be honest. I think he does a lot more than most people in this space. Like, as far as, and he doesn't have to, too. That's the beauty. He could just do what he's doing and be fine. Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't need to have people on, doesn't need to show their books, doesn't need to, like, do launches for the books or closeouts or anything. Bancroft is in a situation where he could do shorts, he could do his live streams, he could do his draw streams, he could do the stuff he does with Camel, and he would be fine. He is intelligent, charismatic, thoughtful enough to stand above most people. Straight up. And he doesn't have to do the stuff he does, right? And so, like, that's the thing. You don't sit, like, and then this is no shade, no tea, no shade on, like, Eric Weathers, but he's not doing the same stuff Bancroft is. Do you know what I mean? And he's doing his own thing, and, like, it's the same with, like Phil, he'll have Tommy on and they'll do a little draw thing and show somebody else's thing off. They don't have to do that. Tommy could be drawing pages for books. He doesn't have to be wasting time with Phil, And so, like, that's the thing. Like, and I agree. I see the wave. High tide lifts all boats. I get it. But, like, that's the thing. Like I said before, like, I feel like there would be people who would be happier if the banner was being raised aloft by Bancroft. I think a lot of people would be pleased if that's what CG was to most people. That spirit. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. There are corners of everything. No, like, here's the thing. It's not commie nonsense, because nobody's asking Bancroft to do anything for them, and he is not lifting anybody up that hasn't already done the work to get there. Right? But putting eyes on those people and making an event of it makes it more exciting for everybody. And it's... now, we're going to get wild now. It's exciting and positive. It's a celebration of all the work that these people have put in, and people are excited about it. And if the book looks good, they fund it. There are some people who are having trouble funding books right now. I would argue that's because the books don't look good, and people aren't excited to give them money for it. You know, and other books that are funding with no problem. You know? So that's my thing. And so, you know, that's kind of the thing I like to do. Like Noah. Noah is a good example. A lot of people look at Noah, who's, you know, spent a lot of time drawing grass. You know, no tea, no shade. Grass looks good. Manicured, lush. You know. But here's the thing. He's putting in the work. He's done the things. He's 18. And I like that there are a lot of people who are helping him. Who are talking to him, giving him pointers, talking to him. We would have killed for that at our age. Like if we were his age, I would have killed to have a Shelby be like, "Hey, bro, look at these Mark Silvestri faces. Your faces are busted. Look at this. Look at how he does this lighting here. Look at how he does this arm here. If you want to do cool Jack dudes, check this out. Do this." You know, because there are no mentors anymore. Like, there is no system or studio system anymore. Like, those types of streams are the studios now, right? Like, if Shelby is showing Noah, who is, like, you know, however many generations down, how to come up, that's the new studio system, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, you know, and I love that's what a lot of the people in this community are about, right? Like, and I think, you know, and I hate the whole community thing and the whatever. It is what it is. But there are good people here, and I'm glad to see that. And I'm glad to see that there are people who are reaching out to help other people, and that's awesome. You know, because that's the thing. That's the coolest part about all this. Like, most people, like most of us, started creating because we were inspired by other creators, and we want to give back, whether it's by inspiring somebody else with our work or helping other people who are coming up do better work. Like, that's all people want to see is cool shit. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like, if you are out there and you're like, you suddenly become a pirate and you're like, I want to see people fail. Get some fucking help. Go see a therapist or something like that. Like, seriously. Like, I just don't understand that mentality. Like, most people who are annoying and failure-y or, you know, whatever, they're going to fail on their own. Right? They're their own worst enemy. They're going to sink their own ship. No problem with that. Let them do their thing. Let them be oarless in the ocean while stabbing and shooting holes in the boat. Let them do it. I don't have a problem with that. Most people sort themselves out. I like seeing people help other people. I like seeing other people lift other people up. And there's no gain in it for them. Right? Like, that's the thing. Like, it's not like anybody helping most of the people that they're helping are going to get some kind of contract out of it, or they're going to get some kind of financial reward out of it, or anything like that. They're not. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a bunch of money in indie comics anyway. very few people are going to make a lot of money, so they're doing it because they're passionate about it. All the people who are like, they're gold in them hills, those people who are showing up here quickly find out that there are not gold in them hills, and their campaigns, they don't get the money they expect because, oh, Ethan made $500,000 or whoever made $20,000. I'll easily make that. And when they don't, they feel they're owed it, they get bitter, and they leave. And they weren't here for the right reasons anyway, because, like a lot of people, like Bancroft, like a lot of other people who did web comics or did indie comics and stuff like that before, there's not an overnight success. These people have been kicking around these things for decades, right? And so, there are people who have probably been trying to get their spots for 20 years. Is the reality of it, because a lot of people, sure, they might be a great artist, but that's not paying the bills today, so they have to get a real job. They have to do X, Y, and Z, or they have a kid, or a family member dies, whatever. There are a million things that make the track hard for everyone, right? And so the people who are here and grinding it out because they love it, those are the people who I want to see succeed. I want to see them get better. I want to see their work get the recognition it deserves. Is it monetary? Is it whatever? I hope so. I hope a lot of those people actually, can quit the day job or whatever it is, and do the thing they love for the rest of their life. That's the dream. That's what everybody's trying to do. Nobody wants to be a greeter at Walmart or pump gas or flip burgers for $15 or $20 an hour, or whatever it is. They want to put their head down. They want to grind, and they want to hold this in their hand, with their name on it, and that's the thing. And then they hope people like it, and then they can make another one, and then they can make another one, and like there are people who would just make it anyway, even if they didn't make them. They were just like, if I got enough to print, then I'll make another one, and that's the thing. What we got here? Yep, Joe. Grind, Bobby. Pump gas and do it very well now. Okay. See? No tea, no shade. Is what it is. I'm gonna drink out of my milkshake cup. It's only water though. Max Santiago. I believe Santiago means a whale's vagina. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to see people make cool shit. I'm working on cool shit. At least I hope people think it's cool. Behind the scenes, I'm working on it for a while now. And when I feel like it's like ready, I'll start talking about it. I own my .com for it. My business name, all that stuff. I'm dotting all the T's, crossing all the I's, vice versa, And so, yeah, like that's the thing. Like, I just want everything to be right, I really should do voice work, God damn it, man. Let me tell you something you'll not be knowing. Johnny Five is alive, But yeah, I'm living my best life. I am. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, and that's the thing. I like this space. I like the people here. And that's the thing. Like, and I kind of, that's the other thing too. Mention books IPs that aren't ready to be books. One reason, backs the expectation of critics to improve. It has been foolish 50% of the time. Well, like, here's the thing. My thing, not much water left on that. And like I said, like earlier, like it's like a Mother Teresa kind of thing, I mean, Johnny Five's going to win that fight every time. listen, Rumble Johnny Five is alive. You know, he's seen a woman naked. You know, he knows what's up. You know, he's not short-circuiting for no reason. No, but like, here's the thing. I think in a lot of ways, if you don't think the people are ready, you're doing them a disservice by giving them money in the long run. Because a lot of those people are going to say what I did was good enough. Not go hard for the next one. They're not going to try to get better. They're not going to like, because the person who puts up their book and a bunch of people look at it and go, I don't think so, bro. Not today. $25 for 20 pages? No. Not happening. You know, and the art looks bad and the coloring looks bad, and you don't like, you're not showing me 5 completed pages on your campaign, and I don't know what the book looks like or reads like or what your main character looks like other than some random cover images or something like that. I just don't think you're ready. I like, you know, and like it's, and you know, and everybody can say, yeah, it's, you know, quarterback, you know, armchair quarterbacking here, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that giving people money for books that you're not excited about, like if you don't see it and go, man, that looks awesome, I want to give them money. If that is not your first thought, but your first thought is, well, if I give them this money, they might do another book and it might be good. I just, like, anytime, like, I see books all the time and I'm just like, they're not ready. And I feel like giving them money is a waste of my money and time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, because that's the thing. Like, here's the thing. To me, I would be infinitely annoyed with pity backing. If I put my book out there and people were like, oh man, I love you, man, you're cool, bro, I'm gonna fund your book, but they don't tell me that they're excited about the book itself, I'd be fucking, I wouldn't handle that. Like, I'd just be like, you know, and that's the thing. Like, I really, like, I get where Blue's coming from, where he feels like, hey, I can see promise, right? But like, if you're not excited about the thing you're buying initially, like, you're gambling essentially, right? I'm not overreading into anything. Okay, well, if they appear, listen, Blue, listen, I'm not telling you how to spend your money. You know what I'm saying? You want to throw money down on whoopee cushions, 5 for a dime. Have at her. It doesn't hurt me any. Right? Like that. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't care what you buy. That's on you, right? But personally, I feel like the communal aspect, the community, the interesting thing that's going on here sometimes has funded books that straight up don't deserve it, right? Like, if they were put side by side with the thing that everyone is complaining about, they are lesser than, right? There are books out there that people are asking money for that are not as good as the Tumblr art in some of these terrible Marvel and DC books. That's it. If you're going to complain about that stuff and you're going to complain about a standard, hold yourself to that same standard and don't expect people to fund you because you fly the flag. If you're talking about merit and you're complaining about merit in one space, don't expect there to be a lack of merit in the other. That's it. You know? Yeah. I'm going to pass the savings on to you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, I really like what a lot of people are doing. They're, I'm here for it. I'm very excited about what I have coming up. I'm just not. The one thing I hate is people talking about things and drip feeding, and then 2 years later, you're like, "Where's that thing at, bro? You're still talking about it." I want the thing to be damn near done, and when I show it off, I want Jaws and Floors to combine, make one, make sweet love to each other. You know what I'm saying? Blue, how about you don't overthink it? How about you just don't worry about it? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, but here's the thing. Like, I also, I'm of two minds. I'm of two minds about Noah, for example, right? Like, there's a difference between us knowing that Noah is 18 and he's starting his journey, right? And we've seen the evolution. We've seen his old stuff compared to his new stuff. There's a Grand Canyon worth of growth in that short span of time, right? And so you're kind of going into it with that understanding. With a lot of other people, they are just showing up and they are, talking all this mad yang about how terrible all these other artists are and all this other stuff, while showing up with hot garbage and spraying it with Febreze and saying, "No, this is good. Trust me, bro. This is great." And that's the thing. Like, a garbage bag full of sprayed with Febreze is still a garbage bag. Do you know what I mean? No matter how sweet it smells, inside it's still hot trash. And so that's the difference, right? Like, Noah may have started out in a trash bag, but he's working his way out of the trash bag and, trying to put on an Adidas jacket. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to get out of that. He's not trying to hide it. Right? And so that to me is the difference, and I think it's a pretty clear difference. He's not running around playing the YouTube politics game, right? Like, that's the difference with that too. He's not trying to come in and, play in the identity politics war, the YouTube war, the whatever. They're completely different things. Yeah, like, let's get Noah that gold Adidas jacket that he so craves. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, I don't. It's one of those things where I really like, I like that to be the case. Where he himself is actually trying to get better and he's learning his craft. And he's got the rest of his life to learn his craft, and that's kind of the awesome thing. Like, if you look at a lot of these guys like Mark Silvestri, all that stuff, he's still changing, he's still evolving, he's still doing new things. And that's kind of the awesome thing about art, is that, if you're an MMA guy, you might have 5 to 7 years of a career in you, right? Like, where you're operating at peak, before the head trauma is a little too much, before the joints, all that kind of stuff start going, right? You have a very finite period of time to be a martial artist, right? In modern MMA, right? But as an artist, you can continue growing well into your 70s, 80s, as long as your mind is sharp and you can get the pencil to do what you want. You can grow, you can change, you can keep developing your skill set, right? And so that's the interesting thing. Like, the Noah of today is going to evolve 15, 20 different times between now and the time he's 40, right? And so, he could suddenly start, like, really, really digging certain artists and change his style completely, and then be like, oh man, I really still love Mark Silvestri from when I was 18. I want to bring that back into my art. And then he's also bringing in Silvestri's influences, and he goes back and he looks at like all these wood carvings and all this other stuff, and he just evolves, and he just keeps changing and growing. And that's the awesome thing about seeing these people, like, change, even in this short time that this thing has been a thing. It's been like, a second in art terms. And, so we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff come out of it. We're going to see people come and go, and we're going to see, some, like, look at Writhe in Pain. That guy just shows up out of nowhere, drawing like this kind of Tony Daniel, Greg Capullo, Spawn era 90s art. And so there are just people out there, just going to pop out of the woodwork and do interesting things. And, for all we know, that's the only thing he ever does. And then he just disappears for whatever, he could like suddenly decide he wants to become a lawyer. Who knows? And so that to me is the interesting thing about all this, is that, like, let's we can water the grass, the Noahs, but I think there are a lot of people that the grass has already been watered and it's not borne any fruit, and that's it. Like, and we'll never see from them again. Is what it is. Exactly. Like, Noah's out here drawing grass, redrawn grass, making the grass sentient. The comic used to be about this Mavericks guy, and it still is. But now the grass, it's the real villain of the piece. It's taking out towns, it's destroying things. It's wild. I'm here for it. Yeah. Noah, you can drown in a puddle. Yeah, see, Bancroft, the digital artist over here, saying, I'm not drawing all that grass. I'm going to draw some grass. The rest of it, copy paste. Because you got to get shit done. That's also, like, and it's like I said earlier, like, Ethan made that mistake where he drew Heather on the wrong side of Cyberfrog when they were looking up at the moon, and he got Kyle to just flip the panel. Digital's great when it saves you time, but hey, what, some people like to complain about things until it makes their life easier. That's just how it is. But I am coming up on the 3-hour mark, and it is insane. It's 4:30 a.m. for this guy. So I think I'm going to give one of these.
Problema, Pierre.
Everybody sit down.
Greetings, Colonel.
I said sit down! Now, you know how I don't like to use the sit-down gun, but this morning we just don't have time for mucking about. Major Allied cities have come under attack.
Nazis?
Close your mouth.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. Yeah, it is so late. It's early where I am. I'm in the deep subaquatic base under the ocean. And that base has a different time zone. This may look like an office with a Ridge Racer cab in it and whatever, but I am deep underwater in a submarine. A subaquatic base, if you will. Yeah. I used to do that, Noah. It works. It really does. You know? Yeah, Danger 5 is literally the best show that no one watches. It's like the first season's magic. The second season, it's still pretty good, but the first season is like perfection itself. Like, you know, really, it really is. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's going to do it for me. Gonna call it a night. We're right on the 3-hour mark. Be more streaming when I have time. You know, just how it is. No worries, Sumo. I appreciate you all for hanging in. Had a great time. Got weird there in the center for a while when I was like trying to figure out what these randos with their check marks were doing here, and then I realized who that guy was, and I was like, nope, that's not happening. And so yeah, I was like, all right, let's see where this goes. But yeah, that's just me. I'm curious, you know. But yeah, thanks everybody. I'm gonna call tonight. Have a good one, everybody. See you later.
Problema, Pierre.
Maybe I am not that bad. I ain't got the Japanese. Maybe order some Chinese. To die.